Evening, ladies and gentlemen. A very, very warm welcome to a brand new season here at the Sim Grid of the world famous Sprint Cup. I say a very warm welcome, but it looks slightly miserable down here at Snetterton. It is, of course, David Christie alongside the one, the only Alex Goldschmidt in the commentary booth tonight. Alex, good evening. It is going to be a fantastic start to the season. 6 rounds coming up, and what a cracker we have to get things going.
Good evening, David. Yes, good evening, everyone. It is looking not exactly warm here at the Snetterton 300 circuit. 2.969 miles, 4.779 kilometres. Opened back in 1953. Effectively, we've got quite a lot of action still to go, over the next few weeks, where we conclude the season on May 20th at Suzuka. But yeah, David, it's going to be a fantastic season. I can't wait to get started.
And get started is exactly what we are here to do tonight here at Snetterton for the first of 6 rounds as we see fit to get things started. 540 minutes is what stands between us and the Season 3 champion of the Sprint Cup. Tonight we are at Snetterton, one of the plethora of post-war race circuits opened up on ex-airfield strips of property in the picturesque eastern heart of England. Tonight we'll see a whole swathe of GT3 madness kicking off, starting with a 90-minute race. And Alex, if the weather that we're seeing on screen is what we're in store for tonight, it's going to be a very, very difficult place to be in this tight, twisty circuit.
Very much the case, David. And one of the biggest things is that we do have some absentees this evening. We were due to have 36 competitors, 36 teams comprising of 72 drivers in this particular split, with nearly 350 drivers over the 5 splits on this. And we have 3 cars not on the grid, which include, 33 including the Season 2 champion, which is Alaric Enslin and Amir Hosseini in the Taro McLaren 720S GT3. They're not on the grid this evening. PPR Esports, Cody Pride and Adam Chmielewski, they're not on the grid, and neither is the Musto GD Esports car, either the 53 Mercedes. But David, why don't we take the folks at home on a hot lap here? The McLaren 720S GT3, producing 540 brake horsepower from its mid-engined 4-litre twin-turbo V8, piloted by Gregor Schill, will take us on a hot lap here at Snetterton 300, 2.969 miles. Down through into Rich's third gear at 175 on the apex. The car drifts off to the left-hand side before the short blast down to Wilson, all the way down from 4th to 1st gear, and knocking the speed down by about 180 kilometers an hour through using the weight transfer and also the centre of gravity on this car that is affectionately known in certain circles as the Torque Monster. We head through the left-hander at Palmer's and start accelerating our way through to Agostini. Down from 4th gear at nearly 220 kph through into 1st gear at around 85 on the apex. Starts to put the throttle down, going up the gears, nearly hitting the rev limiter, going through into Hamilton before lifting off the throttle. Avoid the tyre stack on the left-hand side before the right-hander at Oggies, where Gregor Schill seems to take a bit more curb than you might normally expect, but it helps to get a good lap time round here. A little bit of correction coming out of the right-hander at Williams before we head down to the Bentley Straight and towards the final few corners on this fantastic circuit, which was first opened in 1953. Down into Brundle, 3rd gear at 150, 1st gear through Nelson before you run towards the bomb hole. A little bit of a dip here that could unsettle the back end of the car, especially if it's mid-engined or rear-engined on this particular vehicle. Through into Coram, pushing 4th gear, down to 3rd now before you start braking heftily for the left-hander at Murray's. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you wrestle a McLaren 720S GT3, courtesy of Gregor Schill here at Snetterton.
Gregor Schill there, managing to make Snetterton look way easier than I ever could, because I'll be honest, I struggled to get around without invalidating a lap here. But we kick off qualifying then for Season 3 of the SimGrid Sprint Cup, and Alex, you were talking to us just before we went and did that onboard lap, and that bombshell that two of the strongest competitors for the championship not able to make it tonight. Amir Hosseini was already going to be not able to make tonight, and Alaric Enslin took up the challenge. He was going to be one-man armying it tonight. But of course, in South Africa, one of the problems they have to deal with, load shedding, where at random intervals or announced intervals during the day, they actually cut power to entire cities.
You can just see how modern technology does sometimes get in the way, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, I mean, that's a real shame for, it's through no fault of his own. He was ready and raring to go and chomping at the bit. So, we're going to see him back at the next round in 2 weeks' time at Misano on March 25th. Also, there's been a change at the G2 esports crew. There was Gregor Schill, who's newly signed to the crew, was due to partner Niels Neuox. Neuox is behind the wheel of the car at the moment, but Artur Kamara is going to be partnering with Niels this evening. And yeah, the list of names that we've got 20 teams that are returnees. The remainder of them all qualified through the qualifying stages. Oh, and speaking of qualifying stages, did we forget to mention that qualifying stages for the SimGrid with VCO World Cup is now actually open, with a $20,000 prize fund, 5 rounds, 2 splits, and that starts all on April 1st for the actual first qualifying session for the 5-round championship. Some fantastic tracks. Mount Panorama, I think, is on there. Spa-Francorchamps, which is going to be in the middle of May. You've also got Donington Park, Kyle Army, and the 24 Hours of Nürburgring to see off the season towards the early part of October. So the SimGrid VCO World Cup looks to be an absolute cracker, as does the Best of British, which actually starts in just a couple of days' time when Super Saturday returns at Oulton Park.
Yeah, really looking forward to that. World Cup, of course, very fond place for me. That was my very first gig here with the SimGrids, and yeah, incredible events. And what a sense of achievement it is for all the drivers to take part in that. Best of British, you saw that beautiful intro video just before we got started here tonight as well. Get yourself over to thesimgrid.com and get yourself signed up for these events. Marcel Fusi showing exactly how not to take that last corner there, and
or go in the pit lane.
Yeah, exactly. He's just sort of
kiboshed, didn't it?
What he's done there is he's just botched the whole thing. Really, I think he's just straight in the pits, just get a glass of juice, take 5 minutes and just go and do it again. He's not going to have that luxury though, because we only have 13.5 minutes left to go right now, and it is the number 77 of Jonas Savalainen, and this is going to be a fun one for us this season. I tell you, Alex, the team of Nuckfuggets. I am not touching that one with a barge pole, because me being Scottish and how I butcher everyone's names, that is going to end up for some real fun YouTube.
They're actually, just to be honest with you, they're actually now renamed to Griffax Engineering, so you can breathe a sigh of relief there.
Good lads.
But they're running in the Mercedes. They've joined Griffax, so Savalainen currently on a 1 minute 45.183, ahead of the number 62 BMW M6 GT3 of Niels Neuox from G2 Esports. Then it is the 699 of Send It Racing. They've got James Parker behind the wheel. He's teaming up with Charlie Crossland this season. And then we've also got the number 191 of Racing Line Motorsport. Marek Shins has partnered with Jan Onorati this season. So quite a few familiar names. Ross McGregor is partnered up with Alex Buncombe in the number 22 Sancho Rocket Esports. According to Ross's Instagram account, he's subbing for one Jensen Button. Who's that bloke?
I've never heard of him, mate. Just he's some guy that keeps popping up on all these esports races and gets a lot of attention. But yeah, joking aside, I mean, how crazy is it? I mean, Jensen is like everywhere in almost every championship that we see right now with sim racing. You can tell it's the off season for real life motorsport right now. And I've got to be honest, I absolutely love it. It's brilliant to see such a high profile name getting involved, and getting the old sleeves rolled up and getting the hands dirty. But Ross McGregor, I mean, he is more than capable of a super sub to really do well. We saw him do so well with partnered up with John Munro in previous other championships here on the sim grid and elsewhere across Tinternet. But Ross McGregor currently down in 12th position at the moment, looks on a decent lap right now as we see the number 39 Jardier Community Team car of Valentin Barrier, of course, teamed up with Jardier, aka Jaroslav Honzig. And it's always a highlight when Jardier's in the race, because it means that thanks to Mike Yao, we get to go and jump on board on his live stream. We get to see his happy wee face. But it looks like the number 77 of Griffax Engineering on pole position again. Jonas Savalainen picking up where he left off, really, and these times are starting to come tumbling down now. 1:45.183, and that is just ahead of Niles Noyox in the 62. Now, Alex, that makes a good point, actually. So that means that with Alaric Enslin and Gregor Schill not on the grid tonight, that means that we don't have any of our former champions on the grid tonight.
No, but I have just noticed that Alaric Enslin has just said "power back, yay" on the YouTube chat. God, that's a real shame. But I mean, to be honest with you, we're going to have that opportunity of them seeing as rivals, not as teammates this season, and that can bring a completely different dynamic for season 3.
It certainly could, and of course, I mean, things have changed with the Sprint Cup anyway, because last season we switched from solo drivers to a 2-driver series, so it really added that different dynamic, and it allowed us to get even more of the best drivers on ACC onto the grid in this championship, so getting them to team up. And I think it was a massive success there, as Alex Johnson decides to pull off the race line in the most dramatic way possible. But I mean, I really do have a lot of time for the Sprint Cup. I think it's that perfect medium. It's not quite the endurance race, but it's really the strategy comes into play, the pit stops come into play, and teammates come into play as well. You have to have a really strong combination, especially when you start the season off here at Snetterton, as Marcel Fusi decides to become lawnmower man and head across the grass. But Alex, I mean, what are you looking forward to from this season?
I'm looking at the introduction of ballast for the top 15, which is a rather interesting dynamic, because this is not for it's not championship success ballast where you see in other championships where you will stick at a certain amount if you've had like 2 race victories or whatever. With here at the Sprint Cup, we're going to have 70 points for the winner, but then that winner will go into the next round at Misano with 35 kilos of ballast on the car. Then it goes all the way down, so 30 kilos for P2, 28 for P3, and then it goes down to increments down to P15, where you'll have a minimum amount of 10 kilos of ballast. So anyone that scores points from P16 to P30 will still score points, but have 0 ballast. So the top 15 will literally be like, what's the term I'm looking for? Some sitting ducks, maybe? Depending on the track that we're going to. And yeah, that's one of the interesting things, and that's what's going to spice up the championship a bit more. The other thing that we've had a new rule set that has just been introduced, where effectively that the drivers will have to be more strategic at when they overtake, because if there's an avoidable contact situation, the minimum penalty that a team can actually get tonight is a drive-through. However, it will be down to the discretion of the stewards that if it is a severe incident that may cause heavy damage, cause a DNF, the stewards may decide to penalise accordingly.
Yeah, so some stricter penalties coming in this season, and again, just really enforcing the sort of driving standards that we want to see here at the Sim Grid and Sprint Cup. And just having a look here, Niels Noyox for G2 Esports in the 62 machine, that BMW roaring round the final half of the circuit here at Snetterton. Down into that's Coromy's out of Murray's. He's going to come across the line. He's looking very, very good. He's only 3/100 up at the moment. What can he do as he comes across the line? There we go, 1:44.823. Wow, that is an absolute nuke of a lap there, Alex.
Yeah, but also Marek Shins in the 191 Mercedes just went P3 on a 1:45.261. So, yeah, Nowakowski we got from Carbon Simsport in the number 25 McLaren. Oh, James Parker is going to be rather close. P2 by 9/1000ths of a second off of Noyox and the BMW. Oh, we're getting spicy already, David, and we haven't even started with the race yet.
Oh, this is getting very, very interesting indeed. That was the number 25 Carbon Sim Sport of Mikhail Nowakowski from Poland, just jumping into 5th place. He gets dumped down to 8th already. Here comes Juris Savalainen though to respond. 1:44.820, 3/1000ths of a second ahead of Niles Noyox there. That is 3 cars within 100th of a second. Sean Arnold for the Dalkin Community Car 377 Ferrari comes across the line, puts it in a 4th place. Oh my goodness me, but that's still light years behind those top 3 right now. But now the drivers have got their banker lap in, and it's going to be a case of now they can push it and really sort of take advantage of the track limits as much as they possibly can. Just to give you an update as well, one of the other ways that we're adding bang for the buck in terms of this season, in season 3 of the Sprint Cup, is the fact that we have an extra round now. Last season we only had 5 rounds, and now we've got 6. We've got that final round at Suzuka, but also we've now added a 5th split on that. So before we only had 4 splits, we've now got 5 splits, which means 35 cars. So that means that we've got 350 drivers racing. That is absolutely crazy, Alex, and it just makes for some incredible entertainment.
You know what, Alaric Enslin is absolutely gutted because, like, literally the top 3, it's sort of like it's just a really gutting for him, but it's also gutting for us here in the commentary box. I mean, top 3 covered by 12,000ths of a second. That's the closest ever, I think, here on SimGrid ever so far since I've been here. And it's changing over all the time. Nowakowski has just gone P5 on a 1 minute 45.198. But David, when I tell you that the top 32 covered by 1.8 seconds, that is ridiculous.
It's absolutely crazy, but it's also, I mean, it's getting to the point, Alex, we expect nothing less from these guys. It's incredible performances on the grid so far just now. 4 minutes 15 seconds left to go in our very first qualifying session of this brand new season of the Sprint Cup here on the SimGrid. This is Luke Whitehead in the 404 H3 Racing car. He's currently 3/10 off the leader at the moment, so huge improvements for Luke Whitehead. That's going to put him up to P4, 5 or 6. In fact, no, he loses a little bit on that final corner there, and that puts him down to 11. Again, Alex, just showing you how important it is to keep every single 10th throughout every single sector of this lap here at Snetterton.
Yeah, Luke Whitehead is partnered with the sole Moroccan driver in this field, Hamarda Erquizi, was 5/10, half a second up. So these two are rather rapid. I've commentated on them in other in other leagues as well. They are both rather rapid, so just keep your eyes on them tonight. I've also been informed that the 229, it is the PC Boys Esports Mercedes AMG Evo, the number 1 car, with Carly Atkins and Daniel Ginchard, have actually been disqualified from qualifying and will start from the back of the grid for breaking RTG rules, as I've been informed by Michael Hamlet, who's been whispering sweet nothings into our ears as always, as we've got just under 3 minutes on the clock to go.
Yeah, it's one of the perks of the job, really, isn't it? But yeah, so no, obviously in this season or this series, you're not allowed return to garage. It's to do with, obviously, to discourage drivers from just cutting down, deciding to return to garage, then just firing straight back out onto a lap. Here we go then. It's everybody's favourite Russian, Igor on the call for the Lada Sport Rosneft 41 team, and he's giving it the big licks. The lights are flashing and he's wanting everyone out of our way, but oh, that was so close to hitting the back of the Ferrari there. And yeah, well, maybe he did hit the Ferrari there, but let's face it, this is Igor's racetrack. Every racetrack is Igor's racetrack, and a very, very big shout out to all of the huge fan base that we have in YouTube. Valery Sumin leading the charge on the chat tonight. But Vasily Anufriev, I mean, it's close between the two of them. You know, I've got to say Vasily's my second favourite Russian. I'd say he's my favourite, but I don't want to risk the wrath of the fan club.
Well, I think you make a very, very good point there, but it's good to see them being so competitive out there. Vasily Onufriev currently sitting down in 18th position, just over 9/10 off pole. He's now making his way through into Brundles and then into the right-hander at Nelson before the dip through the bomb hole. And the biggest thing here is, depending on the drivetrain way that it's set up, so if it's front engine, it's going to be a bit happier going through that dip. If you've got mid-engined or rear-wheel drive, rear-engine cars, like say the McLaren, the Ferrari, the Porsche, we've got 9 different brands being represented, 20 different nationalities in this championship, just showing we've even got Chris Surveyor, a familiar name that people might say, but Onufriev's about to cross the line in the Aston Martin, currently P18, P9, halves the gap in that particular attempt as we now switch back to Ross McGregor as he comes out of Murray's corner. Let's see if the number 22 Team Rocket car comes across line. Does McGregor improve? He'll still have a chance. Goes up to P7. 1 minute 45.243. So a good effort there for McGregor. As you said, super sub extraordinaire.
Yeah, he's doing a fantastic job there. Alex, you mentioned something earlier on. You said, I think it was something like 17 cars split by 1.8 seconds. How about doubling that? How about making that all the way down to 32nd to Sheldon Muscat, who is 1.8 seconds off the leader right now. 32 cars within 1.8 seconds. That is just insane levels of competitiveness.
Yeah, that's very true, David, but you know, with Savalainen, Noyox and Parker literally putting the proverbial cat amongst the pigeons. So the Checkered's out for the session. Noyox now coming through Brundle. Is the BMW going to have enough torque from that particular engine? Which, if memory serves me correctly, 4.4 litre twin-turbo M-Power V8. And he's 2/10 up, so he could be getting close to around about the 144.6 mark, as he's now going to come through the left-hander at Murray's. He's now 3/10 up. Now, this is a good lap for G2 Esports to get on pole for round 1 here at Snetterton, as Noyox will cross the line. 144.523. Absolutely obliterated Savalainen's time there.
Wow. By then, that is a huge lap there, and a huge scalp as well for Niles Noyox, really setting down the marker and the benchmark there. 144.523 to take pole. I'm going to call it right now, I don't think anybody else is taking that, not even close to coming to that. And I was away to joke actually beforehand, because at that point, Alex, he was only 3/1000th of a second off, and it's like, you know, that could be anywhere that you could either pick that up or lose it. I mean, you could sneeze and lose 3/1000ths of a second in these cars right now. But yeah, amazing pole position there for that. Sean Arnold is on a charge just now. He's currently 1/10 up. That would only be fast enough to take him up to about P6 right now. But here is Yiger Ogorondikov for the Ladder Sport Rosneft team. Makes his way around the outside in the 41 car. Here's Sean Arnold. There we go, 7th place then. So a huge pole position for Niles Noyox there in the number 62 machine. That is, of course, the G2 Esports. It's then the number 77 of Eunice Savalainen in the Griphax Engineering machine. It's James Parker in the 699. And great third place there for him in that brand new team of Send It Racing. 191 of Marek Shintz is in 4th place for Racing Line Motorsport. Mikhail Novikowski in 5th place with the 25 Carbon Sim Sport. 6th place is going to be Marius Dvorak in the number 7. That's the Carbon Sim Sport Blue. Sean Arnold in the 377 Ford Zilla machine. And then it's the 111 of Florian Becker in 8th place. That is, of course, the Elferspot.com outing in that one. Felix Rupert in 9th place with the 16 machine of XL Racing by Renvelton. And then rounding it top 10, Andrea Benedetti in the number 99 GTWR Racing Team outfit. So, Alex, let me just open the window here. I'm just going to have a look at... yep, it's raining. It's quite wet out there.
Typical British weather. What else can we expect? This is going to spice things up even more now. And you know what we were talking about with the new regulation, reference avoidable contact situations. This is where things start to get tricky. And you can literally say, you can just see it from here. It's like, oh dear. And look how saturated Snetterton is right now, buddy.
Oh man, we are full wet here then, so just heading down the grid, and it says Niles Noyox on pole, but I believe it's Arthur Kammerer who's going to be taking the first stint. Now, this is going to be treacherous because, of course, what we usually see at the sim grid is we'll see a dry start, then a wet end to the race. However, we are fully wet from the get-go here in our first of 6 races this season for Season 3. Who knows what is going to happen on that run down to Turn 1. So many flashpoints here. We usually find water gathering at the likes of Palmer, at Nelson and Brundle. That bit there can be really treacherous as well. And on the inside line at the bomb hole as well, there's usually little puddles gathered there that can catch a lot of the drivers out. But 3.5 minutes left to go as the drivers get their pre-race hydration sorted out. How important, Alex, do you think strategy is going to play tonight?
Strategy is going to be the biggest thing here because you've only got a 10-minute pit stop window to get the drivers changed. And that opens with 50 minutes to go and it closes with 40 minutes remaining on the clock. The tyres have to mandatorily be changed. If you forget to do that, that's a penalty coming your way. And if a driver changes, let's say not available, let's say the other person has a problem joining the server, for instance, the team will get a 130-second penalty. You know, at the end of the day, one of the biggest things here at Snetterton is about how your car is set up. The mid and the rear engine cars, which will include the likes of the Ferraris, you'll have the McLarens, you'll have the I don't think there's any Lambos on the grid. No, there isn't. So it'll be the Ferrari, the Audi, the McLaren, the Porsche. They're the ones that might have a bit more advantage, but then we haven't got that many other cars. I think I spotted in the entry list possibly one Lexus, and that is down in 30th position. KEK Sim Racing looks like they've got Jan Kaminski starting behind the wheel down in 30th position, and from my honest opinion here, it's going to be interesting, David. There's no doubt about it.
It certainly is. The run down to Turn 1 is going to be manic, to say the least. You're going to have cold brakes, cold tyres, and some very, very cold talent out there on the grid tonight. Just a reminder then, this is round 1 here at Snetterton. We then head off to Misano in 2 weeks' time, and then it is Imola for round 3. Round 4 is going to be Hungaroring, followed by Zolder, and then the finale on 20th of May. It seems so far away, but Suzuka beckons us, calls us for the finale of Season 3 of Sprint Cup with myself, Dave Christie, and Alex Goldschmidt taking you through every single moment of it. Wow, here we go then. We are just about a minute away from getting cars away on their green flag lap. Alex, what do you think is going through the drivers' thoughts right now in terms of like preparing for the race? Because obviously with it being a team race, they must be taking their strategy calls on voice chat and really sort of trying to psych themselves up for what is about to unfold.
I think it's about just keeping calm. That's the biggest thing going into Riches, because you don't want to have a problem where you want to make sure that you don't hit the inside curb. That's the first thing. Then you don't want to run wide, because as soon as you hit the curb, and with the conditions as they are, the track is absolutely saturated. So what happens when you hit a wet curb with an extreme wet tyre? The car's going to start spinning. It doesn't matter how big that contact patch is, those curbs can be absolutely dangerous. And it's going to be even worse, effectively, when you go through... on the hot lap, there was that massive sausage curb, not just on the inside of Nelson's after going through Brundle, but then coming through Murray's. You go on one of those sausage curbs, you're not only going to slip, that car's going to go flying in the air.
And I think that is going to be one of the things that we're going to see quite a lot of tonight. Flying cars here at Snetterton, only on the sim grid. But yeah, Awesome stuff. We are about to get going underway. Huge thanks to Mike Yao and to Michael Hamlet, our production team, as always, especially Mike Yao right now with those banging tunes in the background. Do quite enjoy a little bit of the old house music to get you pumped up and ready for this amazing 90-minute race, as if you needed any more pumping up right now. Niles Noyox leads the cars around. Jonas Savalainen in the 77 car in second place. Follows in tow Marek Schintz in the 191 Racing Line Motorsport in fourth place. Nick Babin in that 25 McLaren. I think McLarens are, I've got to be honest, I think the McLarens are going to struggle in these conditions right now. The Ferrari loving begins with the Fordzilla 377 of Darren King, then it's Rupert and Benedetti. But great to see also, Alex, the 111 of Florian Becker back on the grids with Richard Lindhorst as well. We've seen them in quite a few championships already.
Yeah, Florian Becker actually competed in the multi-class at the Nürburgring, if memory serves, the German Cup, where we saw that Porsche took both the GT3 and the GT4 race victory, if memory serves me correctly. So quite a few drivers, but 33 of them are about to go into riches. I'm just bracing myself, hoping that everyone gets through after the first lap. But we know what happens here on the sim grid. Everyone's chomping at the bit. It's the beginning of a brand new season. Everyone wants to get off to onto the best foot possible tonight. For sure. The great thing about this is that almost everyone on the grid tonight has raced against everyone else on some championship, on some server, or on some different platform. They all know each other and they know what to expect in terms of aggression, in terms of strength, in terms of vulnerability, weaknesses, all that sort of stuff. So, driver profiling is just as important as being able to be fast around the wheel. For instance, with the stricter penalties that we've mentioned this season, I think you're going to have a lot of drivers taking it very, very, what we would say up here in Scotland, taking it very canny into the first corner, just so as not to nuke any chances with a crazy, drive-through penalty or a time penalty that gets added on that could potentially jeopardise the race, when all they had to do was just lift off maybe 100 metres before the actual the braking point. But we will see what happens. The drivers making their way around the bomb hole, one of the greatest sounding names of a corner, I think, ever in motorsport. Or maybe that's just me, but down through Corham, then into Murray's for the first time to get things underway. 90 minutes are about to get going here for the Sim Grid. Sprint Cup Season 3. Place your bets now, ladies and gentlemen. Put your chips on the table. Let's know in the YouTube chat who you have got this season, who you've got tonight, and who you think is going to come out on top. But it is going to be Arthur Kammerer for the 62 then of G2 Esports, who leads the Jonas Savalainen in the 77 machine across the line, and we get ready to go racing. We're still a little bit away, but of course the 229, you can see there, PC Boys Esports machine in the pit lane, having to take a pit start after that return to garage infringement during qualifying. But here we go, a brand new season awaits. We are getting ready to go. 540 minutes are underway of Season 3, and they're all down to riches then for Tillman, and there's contact already. Nudges left, right, centre, and the leader's gone round, Camerer's round, and there's chaos in turn 1 of Snetterton. Oh my goodness me, I count at least 12, maybe 15 cars. Oh, Valentin Barrier's off. Silverline and Noyox got turned around going through riches. Oh, there are so many people that are going to be in... I think one of the biggest things is you look at the torque for some of these cars. The McLaren has over 700 newton meters of torque. The BMW has around about 550 newton meters of torque. We've got hardly any Nissans in here. There's one of them that's currently 13th on the grid. It is about struggling for traction, and if you've got too much torque on these cars, especially in wet weather conditions, David, you are going to struggle, and that's exactly what we saw going through T1.
Hang on, my brain is absolutely melting right now, because despite that, Arthur Kammerer is still in the lead. We saw him getting sent sideways, but somehow he recovered it, and he's got about a second lead over the second place driver, which is, of course, the number 7 of Damian Pavlos. So, in fact, sorry, no, it's his teammate that's in the car just now. That is, of course, Marius Tvordslo. in the number 7 machine. But my goodness me, I mean, that was such a dramatic start. But that is pretty much taken out all of the competition for G2 Esports right now, certainly pace-wise. And we're starting to see them open up a little bit of a gap, certainly over second and third place.
I think now it's about putting in the strategy. You said about what are the strategies of the team's going to be. Now they're on the back foot. And this is where you start fighting back. But you take it calmly and coolly. You don't rush any specific decisions. Obviously, the teams will be talking to each other as we're on board with Igor Ogorodnikov, who's being chased down by Luke Whitehead, already up into P10, and has Mr. Super Saturday himself, Marcel Fuzi, just behind in the number 11, 285. He is partnered with Harry Spears. There's actually 20 Brits. Well, when you can include Scotland and Wales into that, there's around 20 British competitors in this field. They make out the biggest contingent out of the 20 nations here, but Ogorodnikov is closing on Ross McGregor for P8, and he's got Sasha Glatter, and it looks like there's been a bit of an incident just behind David.
Yeah, more carnage and chaos is further down the grid, and this is what you see now. You see the top 20 drivers just kind of feeling out the conditions. They're really wanting to get a grip for, well, grip's definitely the wrong word to use there, but they're trying to get a feel for how the conditions are right now. But underneath that, I mean, everybody's just trying to get some sort of traction, some sort of position going on, because they need to get themselves into contention in the next 5-10 minutes and get that momentum going through the race, because they know these cars, once they do get traction and do get going, the rain, as we can see in about the next half hour, is due to, at some point over the next half hour, is due to less in intensity, so potentially start to see conditions drying up. Oh, Ogorodnikov contact, and that's Ross McGregor, and that is almost certainly, I am definitely not race control, that is almost certainly going to be a penalty. And well, Igor Ogorodnikov, yeah, that's Alex, that's what do we expect?
Well, the thing is that has now meant that Ross McGregor is now beached as a direct result. To be honest with you, Ross had the inside line going through into Nelson's there. I think Igor was just a bit overzealous with his try, if it was an attempt, and now Ross has now ended up in the pit lane, and that's a real shame. He's had to return to garage on that one because that car was absolutely beached, David. So that means that both he and Alex Buncombe are going to have a mammoth task ahead of them. But there's also another interesting thing as well, that teams can now file appeals mid-race as well as post-race, but there is a limit. 3 appeals in a season, and if an appeal results in the penalty being overturned, then they get the appeal back. However, if it gets rescinded by the stewards, that one is off the books.
Yeah, I like that. Good challenge system, good change there for the Sprint Cup Season 3. It means that the system can't be abused with frivolous penalties getting thrown in. As we see Lucas Kreuzer in the Sidebacks Motorworks 96 car being absolutely manhandled there by Benedetti in the number 99. That's Andrea Benedetti, and there's 4 cars wide. That is on the run down. My goodness me, that's through Williams. And this is, I mean, it's pouring with rain, but these cars just don't care right now. They are absolutely giving it everything, and we're not even 6 minutes into the race.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Lucas Kreuzer there. Oh, that was a cut across and a half by Vasily Anufriev on Yannick Nuller from GTR RPM Esports. He's partnered with the only Maltese driver in this field, Sheldon Muscat, who's been with us before. And look, Danny Guza in the number 4 from Haupt Racing Team, now up into P18. Now, Danny admitted on Twitter earlier on today, he said, well, we haven't really had much practice, but that hasn't stopped Danny from getting his elbows out in the Haupt Mercedes.
It's a little bit frustrating because it just shows that, you know, the cars can be made to go 2x2 even in these extreme wet conditions. As we see Felix Rupert diving up the inside there, a little bit of a moment for the number 7 car in front, and it's almost a 3-way battle now for second place. Moves over to the outside line, and that is a great move there. We can see the number 699, that's James Parker, up into third place now, and that means that Felix Rupert down into 4th. But I've got to be honest, I mean, For Zidlo, it's really having to give everything that he can. I've got no idea how that McLaren is still in the battle right now. I thought they were going to struggle, but I mean, taking second place, he's a bit of a roadblock right now. 2.6 seconds behind Arthur Cameron.
Cameron's just put in a 1:53.007. Keep your eyes on the Omega E Racing duo. They're running in the number 10, and that has got Alex Johnston behind the wheel in the Ferrari, and he's partnered with Marcus Littlewood and also George Boothby. Now, we normally see him. He's partnered with good old Niels van der Kerkelt in the number 47 McLaren. They're up to P5 in closing on Felix Huppert. Florian Becker is not too far behind, followed by Ogorodnikov, Glatter, Johnston and Whitehead, who's now dropped to 10th position ahead of Marcel Fusi, and it's Kaush Tadasol, but then Camera is pulling away at this particular moment in time.
Oh yeah, leaps and bounds. I mean, that's 2.5 seconds, nearly 2.8 seconds that he is ahead. This is the battle for 12th place then. That is Jarno Kausch in the 911 machine, who is currently ahead in that MSR Liga Endurance team. We've seen him in quite a few races, teamed up again with Robin Pagado. Very capable duo, but look at this. Tattersall's got the run out the start-finish straight there in the 345 Adrenaline Red machine. Rhys Tattersall from Great Britain tries to put it round the outside of Riches. That's never going to work in a month of Sundays, and it's back on for Jarno Kausch, back to being defensive and trying to hold off Rhys Tattersall. Good.
Yeah, we've got a replay coming now, and this is from the start earlier on. So you've got Camera taking an early line, gets a little bit of a tap from behind, then now that was a bit cheeky from the Mercedes behind, and then look, it's like a concertina effect. There's cars exiting stage left, stage right, but how Arthur Camera got away with that one, I will never know.
That is race control are going to be very busy for sure tonight. I was a little bit confused there, because I swear on the back of Jarno Kausch's Porsche, I swear I saw Shocked Pikachu on the rear bumper there. That is, I love that. That's a nice little touch. Here we go. Penalties are coming in thick and fast, and probably faster than we can even read them out. So we will have a little look at them and see exactly what is happening here. But you can rest assured, Alex, I mean, there's going to be absolutely loads of them, but we'll have a look here. Instant between cars 999 and 25 on lap 2. That is a drive-through for the 25 car. So that was the Keck Sim Racing Lexus of Yannick Hamer and Jan Kaminski, involved with the Carbon Sim Sport, Nick Babin and Mikhail Nowakowski. Drive-through for the 25 Carbon Sim Sport. So that is the first penalty that we have had so far.
Yeah, I think after that turn 1 after skirmish through Riches on lap 1, there's going to be quite a lot of incidents being examined at rather great detail, as Carly Atkins for the PC Boys Esports crew, partnered with Dan Ginchard. He's right up the back bumper of Sean Arnold going through into Riches. Now, let's not forget that Atkins started down in 33rd. He's now up into P20. So both Atkins and Ginchard, they do have pace. Nowakowski now in the pits in the number 25 Carbon Sim Sport McLaren, now serving the drive-through rather quickly. Just deciding, look, let's just get it out of the way, get back out on the circuit. It's wet weather conditions. There is still an opportunity. So don't count out the 25 just yet.
Yeah, for sure. There's still a long way to go right now. But of course, the 229 on that pit lane start. So here we go. This is the 25 there, and that's the contact there. Yeah, I've got the feeling that that's going to be the first of many. But interestingly, you'll note that took place on turn 2. At the end of turn 1 there. So that makes me wonder if they're just taking even more time to decipher the start, or if they're thinking it's just it's one of those, turn 1 racing incidents.
It could very well be the case, because Camera, who's now just done a 1:52.5 in these wet weather conditions, he's just literally started flying off into the distance. He's about 3.5 seconds ahead of the 699 Mercedes of James Parker. So there's Lucas Kreutzer. We've seen him, especially when he was battling away with the likes of Nick Nipples back at the multi-class at Spa that we had a few weeks ago. Jano Kausch from Switzerland. He's got Reece Tattersall breathing down his back bumper. But Tattersall looking towards the inside through Riches. The Ferrari not quite there or thereabouts. And just behind them you've got Benedetti and Anufiyev for 14th and 15th. And Anufiyev trying to go up the inside of Benedetti there. Through into Wilson. He's just pushing it. Look, they're going to go into... Oh, my goodness me. Anufiyev just was trying to go round the outside of Benedetti. That's going to... Look at Lucas Kreutzer. And he's just gone round the outside of...
Impressive recovery drive from Cali right now to get that car up into 17th place as the four spins out. I mean, 17th place when you started about 14 minutes ago in pit lane. That is, that is an excellent drive. That's what 15 places made up within about 6 to 7 laps.
Yeah, I think that was a real unfortunate shame there for Danny Giusa, as Igor Ogorodnikov has just set the fastest first sector of anybody in this race, just with under 15 minutes on the clock gone. Carly Atkins and Daniel Ginchard will be breathing the biggest sigh of relief right now, apart from the fact that Carly having the initial paces. Now he's trying to go toe-to-toe with Benedetti. And look at the front of that Ferrari. That is very much looking second-hand, as Carly Atkins getting rather feisty. Elbows out, going through into Wilson. He's going to try and do the switchback, take the tighter line. This time Benedetti defends, whereas Lucas Kreutzer trying to close on Vasily Anufiyev, who's got Reece Tattersall, and then you've got Kausch just up ahead. But Felix Ruppert now coming into the clutches of the likes of Igor Ogorodnikov and George Boothby.
Oh, now here's an interesting development. Second place was towards Idlo. And now James Parker has got past that McLaren, which was a complete bottleneck right now. That gap was 3.5 seconds. James Parker has just taken it down to 1.3 seconds. He is absolutely on a charge. It was 0.7 of a second faster than your race leader that last lap round. So James Parker is on a charge. He's going to be on the race leader within 2 laps.
Yeah, you've also got to factor in Alex Johnston. Both he and Marcus Littlewood, they started down around P25, P27, if memory serves me correctly, as we go on board with James Parker. Look, he's absolutely annihilated that gap. They're going through Coram into the left. Look, that Mercedes is absolutely rapid in the wet camera. I think he now knows he's got a fight on his hands, and James Parker is bringing Affalterbach's finest to the party.
Oh, he certainly is, but you can see the BMW just absolutely has the legs on that long straight there, but as soon as they come into the tight, twisty, technical parts of the circuit, that's it, it's game over for the BMW, and the Mercedes just eats it up for lunch right now. Towards Idlo, I mean, hats off, doing an absolutely amazing job of just keeping that McLaren where it needs to be, but up the inside goes Felix Ruppert, can't make the move stick, and again, that's going to cost them all even more I'm just doing so well.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've just been really interested in, Alex Johnston has now got past Luke Whitehead. Now, these two have been battling tooth and nail over 8th and 9th position, so Johnston's just got ahead of the 404, so Ferrari against Ferrari in that one. Sasha Glatter in the number 81, that is the only Nissan on the grid. That's Blackhawk Racing and Sasha Glatter from Germany partnering with the USA's Chris Sever. So you can just see, and I think I think at the end of the day, I think there's more strife for Benedetti a bit further down.
Yeah, sounds like as Benedetti was fighting out with Taplin there, and that car looking decidedly second hand at such an early stage of the race here. That is George Boothby. But no, that's a great shout, Alex, actually, and thank you to Enrico Taruglio for keeping us updated on Johnson. We'll see if we can actually jump to have a look at the 8th place driver right now in the number 10 Ferrari, doing a fantastic job of coming up from the back of the grid there. and just an amazing effort right there. But we're going to very quickly cut back to the leaders right now, because James Parker in the toe of the BMW of Arthur Camera. G2 Esports under big pressure right now from Send It Racing, with just 18 minutes in the race gone. And what was looking like a very commanding lead for Arthur Camera has disappeared. They're swapping side by side, and James tries to go around the outside of turn number 2. That's never going to work. The BMW is going to get the drive out the corner, out of Montreal, to get things going again, down through Palmer, and that BMW just really roaring into life. But look at the Mercedes. This is where it comes back into its own. It's going to be run the left-hander Agostini, then through Hamilton. You'll see the BMW bikes a little bit more, and then through Augies. Where is he going to make his move? Where is he going to attack?
The best place, I would say now, for James Parker, because that car was 1.3 seconds quicker than the BMW in Sector 2 on the previous lap. A 40.185 for Camera, a 39.885. Now coming out of this corner onto the Bentley straight. This is where the Mercedes should really come into its own, as we now go on board the roof cam of James Parker. And this now means that, I mean, he might get a bit closer, because obviously with the fact that the BMW in terms of the torque has 550 newton meters of torque, the Mercedes itself in terms of the Evo package has 650 newton meters of torque. So the torque factor is in the advantage very much of the Mercedes. But in these wet weather conditions, a little bit of a drift to the left hand side there for Arthur Camera, but James Parker right on the back bumper, coming through the left hander at Murray's. Now if he can keep that, but look, the BMW is just literally getting a little bit better traction coming out of the slower corners, and the faster stuff James Parker seems to keep pace. But then when you go through the first gear corners, like we just had through Murray's, now up towards coming out of Richards, now going down towards Wilson, if Parker's brave enough to send it on the brakes, it's going to help, because these are both front engined rear all drive cars. But the BMW just seems to have that grip and that poise coming out of the corners, David.
It's just absolutely smashing it out of the corners. As soon as it gets to any sort of a straight line, the BMW's gone. And there we go. That is the number 10. That is Johnson. So Johnson has lost it from P8. He managed to recover down in 12th place, fighting with that is Kaish in the Porsche. So that now down to 13th place for the former 8th place person. I mean, that was some miracle drive there from Alex Johnson in the Omega Racing Team machine. And up the inside goes Lucas Kreuzer. There's going to be contact surely, but Lucas Kreuzer thinks about it, tries to get the move done, and they're almost side by side. Kreuzer has to think better of it and jumps back down. But wow, that is unfortunately. So there we go on Twarzitlo. Now Twarzitlo was in P3. And
moment for Anufiev there, David. He just lost the back end. And he's just been clattered into by one of the cars behind. I think that might have been a Ferrari, but Anufiev lost it, and that was coming through. I think that was probably through Palmer's, I believe. He lost the back end, and all of a sudden, Kaush had nowhere to go. So Vasily Anufiev went just literally turned around. Kaush had nowhere to go, and Anufiev has dropped down the order, but Parker still trying to close up on Camera for the lead, and so yeah, I mean, James Parker, I think he's just got to keep persisting, but not try and close it. And then Tattersalls just caused a yellow flag as Parker looking towards the outside once again of Camera, but Camera seems to have the measure, and in some respects Camera's got Parker's number at the minute. And then, you know what I'm really interested in, David? The battle between Charlie Crossland and Niels Neuox.
Yeah, that's going to be a very, very interesting one as that one develops, because obviously both of them trying to get themselves back up through the field. And I think when Niels jumps into the car, Alex, I think he is slightly faster than Arthur. But for the 699, I think they're quite evenly matched because James Parker and Charlie Crossan, I think, are pretty much on the same page. We've got another penalty that has just come in. I've been reliably informed.
Yes, Vasily Onufriev gets a drive-through penalty. That's car number 56, the like and subscribe crew, and that was for the incident involving, oh my goodness me, Jan Kaminski has been involved in 2 accidents in the first couple of laps of the race.
Yeah, it's a bit of a pinball moment there, but these things happen, and unfortunately, race control very busy. It just shows you if they're still dealing with lap 1 and handing out the blame. And the 56 is under investigation again, Vasily Onufriev. I've got to be honest, one thing that I am not happy with Vasily for is that rejoin. The way he brought the car back onto track, and I know he's got to get it out of danger, but the way he did that then puts it straight onto the racing line for other cars. So I don't like when cars do that and potentially cause an issue.
Yeah, 4 cars now under investigation, David. 229 PC Boys Esport 1. 229, the 295, the sister car, and that has got Vishal Patel and Lucas Romanik behind the wheel. So there's 2 investigations on the 229, which has got Carly Atkins behind the wheel. The 41 of Yegor Ogorodnikov is under investigation, and again Vasily Onufriev has got another investigation on him as well. Okay, so this is involving the 229. So this will be the... now that was on Danny Guza. So that was a send and a half there. And I think Danny Guza was on the receiving end of an incident that didn't really need to happen there. So I think the 229 could be having a little bit of a moment there. As Parker, actually, we just saw going wide... going onto the Bentley straight through Williams, so he's doing his level best as James Parker. He's keeping within half a second of Artur Kamara. And David, we're about just under 16 minutes away before the pit stop window opens.
Yeah, it's going to add a whole new dynamic to the race. I love CV on YouTube, though, pointing out, you get an investigation, everybody gets an investigation. Right, another replay then here, and this is the battle for 6th, 7th and 8th place there, and up the inside, that's unfortunate. That is Ross McGregor and Yegor Ogorodnikov.
Now, you know what I said about the sausage curve on Nelson's? The back end of Ross's McLaren. That was definitely beached, and that was why there was a return to garage. That car is parked like literally after that because of the return to garage. You can't rejoin the server if memory serves me correctly.
That's absolutely spot on. And the thing is as well, Alex, is that it just looked like such a silly incident because it looked like there was a tentative move up the inside, thought better of it, and then decided to go for it anyway. I've got no doubt that bad things are coming that team's way, but we'll wait and hold our breath to see what happens to the number 41, currently down in 5th place right now. So regardless of that, that's been a good recovery drive for Yegor Ogorodnikov. And again, we seem to be in that case where we're always talking about Yegor. But the thing is I mean, for me, he is one of the fastest drivers on the track. I just wish that it didn't come at the price of coming into contact with other drivers, because if he can get rid of that, my God, he would be so scary fast, and really, he would constantly be up at the top of the field.
I think in many respects, the weather conditions have changed the dynamic of the race. There's Marek Shins, who's just got past the 229 of Callie Atkins, so that is the battle for 18th position. So, yeah, oh my goodness, Marek Shins, that was coming through. Oh my goodness me, Marek Shins just got a bit of a nasty surprise. That was coming through, I think that was...
was that the 229 again of Callie Atkins?
Callie Atkins, yeah, that was through Oggies.
Oh well, I think somebody's going to be getting called to race control at that rate, because that is 2 separate incidents that looked like they could have quite easily been avoided there.
Yeah, but I think to be honest now, we've got we've got more incidents between cars number 36, that's GT RPM Omega Esports, Omega RPM Esports, and the number 56 of the like and subscribe team on lap 2. Drive through for car 56 for blocking.
Ouch. That is, of course, Vasily Onufriev. Confirmation of the cars that are currently under investigation. I think you can take the 56 off of that because they've just had their penalty. But yeah, look, we said before the race, Alex, we said this season penalties were going to get much tougher. Drive through for car 56 for Vasily Onufriev, and that is a bad day going very much worse.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's more the case of now it's about keeping your nose clean. There's still just over 62 and a half minutes of this race still to go. And there are people like Tattersall, Shins and Danny Gusa trying to send it up the inside, and another turnaround for Marek Shins. Marek Shins in the 191, his race, well, not just his, but also Jan Onorati from Racing Line Motorsport, their race has gone from bad to worse now.
And another yellow flag further up. That is the number 33 that is been involved in an incident. Just saw the yellow flags getting brought out for that, but managed to get things going again. I've got to be honest. I mean, this is just getting crazy. That was Jose Lago Montero in the Ferrari that was in 17th place, bringing out that yellow flag. This is just insane. What a start to the Sprint Cup here, as we've got just over an hour left to go, 60 minutes left to go. And I mean, what can Parker do? He must be getting so frustrated. That Merc is by far and above faster around the circuit than Arthur Kammerer, but there's no way in heck that he can get past it, because every time they get to a straight, Arthur Kammerer is just like, bye.
Yeah, I think sometimes if you do have quite a bit of torque behind the engine, I mean, especially when you look at the Ferrari GT3 Evo, you look at the McLaren, they're pushing around about 700 pounds-feet of torque. Plus, also you've got to consider the drivetrain arrangement, mid-engine rear-wheel drive. The Porsche, for instance, that actually has the lowest torque rating out of any vehicle on this grid, 525 Newton meters of torque, and the McLaren's got the most, approximately over 700 Newton meters from that mid-engine 4-litre twin turbo V8. So sometimes torque isn't everything, especially in wet weather conditions. And Valentin Barry, I have to give him credit, he's made his way up to what is now 20th or 19th place, as Danny Gusa now going side by side with Reese Tattersall, and they're now making their way through into the left-hander at Palmer's. Tattersall takes a good line there, but keeps ahead of Danny Gusa in the Hamp Racing Team Mercedes. So yeah, this is it's getting rather interesting, and now we're only 10 minutes before the pit stop window. So you can now see that was a switch back there from Danny Gusa, and a bit of bumping and grinding there between the two cars. And there comes Marek Shins up the inside of the Ferrari. So Reese Tattersall in two corners has just lost two positions.
Oh, you shouldn't laugh. But I mean, that's 4 separate corners. I've just seen Danny Gusa just push the path. Just nudge the car in front. Get it out of the way. That's a bold strategy right there. I've got no doubt race control are going to be slapping him about with a wet fish. But, oh my goodness. You can't do that. You just can't race like that. And you're going to get some people very, very frustrated if you decide to race like that. And the thing is that, as I say, these drivers race with each other almost every single week in different championships, and the acting like that will come back to bite him. So Danny Gajitsa. Oh right, we have an Ogorodnikov penalty. It's a drive-through penalty for car 41 after that incident on lap 2 between cars 22 and 42. Oh my goodness me. Well, that's, yeah.
You know what the funny thing is that if any, I mean, the person that I feel the most sorry for right now is Marek Shins. The 191 has been absolutely like being thrown around like a cat in a small room. But you've got to understand that from this perspective, it's not easy in these conditions. You're having to compensate with regards to braking. You've got to factor in, how are your tyres wearing? How are your pressures doing? Are your brakes staying a bit cooler than what they should be? Miss Tortellini set the chat alight, I see. But yeah, that's the biggest thing that these drivers have to do. They have to be strategic now. It is about playing the long game. And when we have another 5 races, it's going to be tough. I mean, these drivers wanting to get back into the swing of things. Well, we got back into the swing of things with the multi-car incident on lap 1 coming out of Riches, David. I mean, what else are you going to expect in wet weather conditions?
Well, that is exactly the point, Alex, and yeah, you kind of want to see something different, but I mean, 32 cars going into one corner, of course, all hell is going to break loose. I've got to be honest, like you said, I'm gutted for Yeager that he's got that drive-through, because 4th place, I mean, that is a hell of a drive, and I want to be saying, oh my god, what a performance from Yeager Okoronnikov. Instead, we're sitting here talking about that contact and possibly what could have been for them. So we'll see how that pans out. There's still an hour to go in the race, but we'll hold our breath and see what happens. Now, we'll give you an update on well, I'll give you an update in just a second as we see cut to the race leaders. James Parker, he is just, I think he's lost all patience right now. He's just trying to throw everything in the kitchen sink right now at Arthur Cameron and cannot do anything right now. Alex Johnson, a little update for the number 10 fans out there, currently down in 11th place after that earlier incident, still making his way back round just behind Marius Twardzilo in 10th place there. Marcel Fuzi, Mr. Super Saturday himself, as Alex refers to him, in the 285 up into 9th place. But yeah, Yeager Okoronnikov gets that drive-through penalty in 4th place, and that is going to drop him down, I would imagine, into about 17th or 18th place.
I've just been keeping an eye on George Boothby's time in the number 47, McLaren. Of course, he's partnered with another regular, Niels van der Kerkelt. So that combination is looking rather interesting. And Boothby has been running actually just slightly quicker than Camera, but about a couple of tenths off of Parker at the moment. So I do like the stat that Michael Hamlet's just put on the YouTube chat. It's official. The first 35 minutes of this race has more incident reports than the entire 8-hour Silverstone Endurance Cup Season 2 finale.
Yep, that'll do it. That is not the best stat, I'll be honest, for the opening rounds. But the number 41 into the pits then, and making their drive-through penalty. Now, are they? Yeah, they are. I was just checking. They are actually doing their drive-through penalty right now. But 55 minutes left to go in this opening round of Season 3 of the Sprint Cup. It's Dave Christie and Alex Goldschmidt bringing you all of the action live here on the Sim Grid. Huge thanks to, as always, production team of Mike Yao and Michael Hamlet behind the scenes. Is James Parker going to be able to do anything about that dominant BMW that is just throwing everything that it can right now? It doesn't seem to look happening. Marek Shintz in the Racing Line Motorsport 191. He's not going to want to buy any lottery tickets right now because he has absolutely no luck tonight. And again, Marek Shintz is an incredibly talented, incredibly fast sim racer here at the Sim Grid. We see him week in and week out through the various championships that we host here. But tonight has just not been his night, Alex.
I think you're going to have to look at the number 41 again, David. I think someone's night has just gone from bad to worse.
Oh no! Oh no! He's been... What? How's that happened? He's been disqualified? Oh no. So he's not served the drive-through? Oh my goodness me, Alex. It is all about to go off.
Yeah, but let's just bring another bit of equations to this. Keep your eyes on Sasha Glatter in the 81. And Parker nearly went up the inside of camera there. He's been patient. I'll give him that. James Parker he's racing as he should. He's not chancing it. And look, he's just got really, really close to the back bumper of Artur Camara going through Wilson. But yeah, Glatter did the fastest lap of the race. I think it was a 151.7. Boothby was in the 151.8. So there are drivers that are starting to pick up the pace. But I think what you're seeing, like James Parker, what he's doing at the moment, we've now got Swardzillo battling away with Johnston. This is for for ninth position. Marcel Fusi is a bit further up the road, about nearly 4.5 seconds up from this battle. Fusi is absolutely striding way into the distance. Make that 4.6 seconds. But this is a great battle. It's Ferrari versus McLaren, both with equal amounts of newton meters of torque from both engines, both V8, both twin turbo. As now we get the shot from the rear diffuser of the BMW M6 GT3 with Artur Camera, and this is going through into Brundles, now into the right-hander at Nelson. And just there, camera, you could just see that BMW just seems to be hooked up that little bit better through the bomb hole, now through into Coram, and then into the left-hander through Murray's. But the biggest thing here is that now, Sean Arnold in the 377 has just got a drive-through penalty. I would imagine whether that's for track limits. Now, that's the thing. Track limits is going to be another key factor in the wet, and it's even worse when this has happened. Well, actually, no. I've just seen an incident between cars. Well, I'm wondering, this is I think this is between 229 and 345, it says. But it says that there's a drive-through for 377 for avoidable contact. So that would be between a couple of cars. So Sean Arnold has got a drive-through to serve. But David, we're less than 2 minutes away from the pit stop window opening for just a mere 10 minutes, and that's going to be bedlam in the pits for the first time this season.
Absolutely is. It's just all going to kick off. What a great camera shot this is from the iconic badge of the Mercedes there from James Parker, and he well and truly has Artur Camera in his sights right now. And this is what it's all about. I mean, James Parker knows he's got the faster car, but he just can't fairly and cleanly get past Artur Camera. Now, if that was, say, the number 4 of Danik Yusa, then we all know what would be happening there. That would be a little love tap and sent off into the Englandshire scenery. But no such luck for Artur Camera, because it is a very respectful James Parker that he's got behind him right now. And as you said, Alex, 50 minutes left to go in the race. Now we start to see a 10-minute dash with cars heading into to pit lane. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how these strategies pan out.
Yeah, Luke Whitehead, we're now on board with him at the moment. He's closing up on the number 16. That is the XL Racing by Rennvelden Ferrari 488 GT3 Evo with Felix Ruppert, the sole driver from Luxembourg on this grid. So that's a great battle. Just under 3/10 separate the pair, as we've got about 20 seconds before the pit stop window opens. And Carly Atkins has now got a drive-through penalty for an incident including Marek Shins on lap number 14, avoidable contact. So Carly Atkins will have to serve a drive-through penalty before a pit stop then means that he can then hand the car over to Daniel Ginchard.
And that adds a different complex as well, because if they were thinking about maybe leaving the pit stop till later in the window, now they've got to do the drive-through as well and make sure that gets done. In fact, there we go, the drive-through being served just now from both Sean Arnold in the 377 Fordzilla machine, as well as Atkins in the 229, and who is dropping quite far down the order there. This is Raymond Mooney, who is fighting off Jan Kaminski in the 999 Lexus. That Lexus, actually, we were a little bit unsure about how that was going to perform in these wet conditions just before the race, Alex. I've got to be honest, it's looking very solid and very, very fast.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the Lexus always seems to come good during the wet weather conditions. And when you think about it, that the 999 actually started towards the back part of the grid, the pit stop window is now officially open. Griffax Engineering in the number 77, Jonas Salvalainen actually brought the car in to the pits, and I think was probably the first one to do so. So they've now got every single driver, every single team, and this car, that these cars have to change tyres. So actually, what will be a good thing for the drivers, David, is that now as James Parker will now hand over with 48.5 minutes to go to Charlie Crossland. Looks like Danny Guse has just come into the pit lane, and he's going to now hand over to his German teammate Ben Hitz, as Luke Whitehead now is closing in on Felix Ruppert. So, yeah, this is going to get rather interesting now, because those drivers that have still stayed out, as Whitehead's trying to go up the inside through Wilson. Oh, Felix Ruppert gets a little bit of a wake-up call on the exit, and then into the next left-hander going through Palmer's. Luke Whitehead absolutely giving his teammate from Morocco, Hamadar Erquizi, every motivation to get them into the top 3, maybe even the top 5 by the end of this race.
So many different stories playing out as they happen over the next 45 minutes. But I've got to be honest, my eyes right now are on the former second place car of Charlie Crossland in the 699 right now. That Mercedes has got a lot to prove for Send It Racing. Of course, we saw James Parker trying everything he could to get past your current race leader of Arthur Camera in the G2 Esports number 62 machine, but it all rests on Charlie Crossland right now. If he can fire in some good lap times, then it's very much on. George Boothby has just set the time screens alight, 151.912. We're not quite talking GTR pace there, but a very good lap nonetheless. And Sasha Glatter, actually, now I know you did touch on that, something that we both saw on the time screens. Glatter taking the fastest lap of the race there with that 151.7 or 6, I think it was. But that is consistent pace from Sasha Glatter to take that gap now down to just 10 seconds. In fact, make that 7.2 seconds. And I've got to be honest, Sasha Glatter may be able to get into the top 5 or even a podium if this pace continues.
Yeah, I mean, that's a front engine 3.8 litre twin turbo V6. I mean, it's got 637 newton meters of torque. The good thing is that with the Nissan, it's very much a balance act between when you got the extremes with the Ferrari and then with the McLaren, as we've got more penalties coming through. The number 4 car, Haupt Racing Team, Ben Hitz, is now going to have to serve a drive-through following the incident on lap number 15, which involved Danny Gusa and Marek Shins, as designated by Race Control, and they've just served it already. So the good thing is that now that the number 4 of Ben Hitz now can concentrate for the next 45.5 minutes to just keep pushing forward. Just try and do a bit of damage limitation. And the biggest thing here, as we see Niels Najoks behind the wheel of the number 62, having taken over from Artur Kamara, he's just got ahead of Lucas Romanek. And you know what? Charlie Crossland has dropped down a couple of positions or so. He's down to 18th, and he's 1.2 seconds off of Carly Atkins. But David, the most important thing here... Oh, Sasha Glatter's just got a drive-through penalty, I've just noticed on the timing tower. There's only half of that pit stop window still to go. And the biggest thing here is that the 81 Black Hawk Racing Nissan of Sasha Glatter, partnered with Chris Sever, Glatter's going to have to serve the drive-through and then have to hand over to Chris Sever. And then Sever will have work to do, guaranteed.
Oh, 100%. That is exactly what you don't want to see coming out of the halfway through the pit stop window. But Lucas Romanek in the 295 Mercedes chasing down that BMW right now. He's got Marek Shintz in the 191 Racing Line Motorsport on the tail as well. And the BMW does take a lap or two to get back to speed. But again, we see the Mercedes, it does have the upper hand over the corners over the BMW, but just look at how that BMW tears away as soon as it gets any sort of traction down. But when it comes through the bomb hole and the final corner, it does start to struggle a little bit there. But Lucas Romanek there in the 295 still come in for his mandatory pit stop, and so has Marek Shintz just behind him. In fact, there we go, Lucas Romanek into the pit lane there. So with 43 minutes left to go, your current race leader is George Boothby, leading from Luke Whitehead. It's then Felix Ruppert in the Ferrari as well. Florian Becker up into 4th place right now. Again, all the drivers up in the top 10 out of position. They haven't done their pit stops. They still have to do their mandatory driver change and pit stops. It's then Sasha Glatter in 5th place, Marcel Fusi up into 6th, Marius Tvorzidlo in 7th place, Lucas Kreuzer in 8th, and then Jarno Krausch in 9th with Rob Taplin in 10th place. But again, 3 minutes left to go in the pit stop window. They need to be coming in now.
The biggest thing is that when is Sasha Glatter going to pit? I think the thing is that Glatter needs to pit on this lap, serve the drive-through, and then hopefully have enough time to get the car back round another just under 3 miles. So Glatter needs to serve the penalty now, which he's going to do. So this is going to be a straight drive-through in the pit lane, and this is going to be rather interesting. Oh. So what's going to happen? Glatter's going to hand over now to Chris Sever. They have to do the pit, otherwise they won't have enough time. So he might have another. So Chris Sever needs to literally push the hammer down. And for those wondering about how many teams get point, Jorge Villa asks, it's top 30. Top 15 get ballast after this race for the next round at Misano in just a couple of weeks' time. Jan Kaminski, though, into the pits. That's with that's 11th position. That's been an absolutely brilliant drive for Jan Kaminski, who will now hand over to teammate Yannick Hammer. But Boothby, I think, will probably pit after this lap. So the thing is that for those wondering, you have to serve a drive-through penalty, otherwise you get disqualified within 3 laps. But if you still have an opportunity to do the driver change before those 3 laps are done, you're good, you're fine. So I think, the thing is that with the way things are, we've now got to wait for Boothby, Koiser, and Taplin. That's a really, at the end of the day, this leaderboard is not respective of what we are going to see once the pit stop window closes, David, in just over 70 seconds' time.
Do you know what I actually find absolutely amazing? There we go, leaderboard's up to date. In fact, I'm just saying the 404 is just behind Charlie Crossland right now. So it is still Niles Noyox and Charlie Crossland who are essentially going to be P1 and 2 when that all does factor itself in. Jardier into the car in the number 39 Audi. Again, very unusual choice of the Audi. It's not one that you see. In fact, I think they're pretty much one of the only cars on there. They didn't want the car, and they forgot to switch before the deadline. So that's a bit of an oopsie, Alex.
That was very much an oopsie, because I remember Jardier actually putting out a poll on which car on Twitter, on which car they would switch to. And now I'm going to actually have a look and see what the results of that poll was. It was the McLaren 720S, so whoopsie. But at least the good thing is they're still in mid-engine rear-wheel drive.
It doesn't matter though, because I bet you, even with the Audi, I bet you if we were to switch to a stream right now, he'd still be smiling, because he always smiles. Anyway, back to Niles Noyox.
Oh, stop go 30! Stop go 30 for the 47. Speeding in the pit lane. Whoops.
That is an absolute bombshell for Boothby in the 47 McLaren. Now, hang on, that has just gone away. That's a bit strange, unless they're into the pits already just now. So we'll see what happened with that. But so it's still first and second place. Then Charlie Crossland still trying to hunt down Niles Noyox. I've got to be honest, I don't think it's going to happen, because Niles Noyox is the faster of the two and looking very, very comfortable in that BMW.
Yeah, it's going to be rather interesting. Now I'm wondering, when George Boothby and Niels van der Kerkhout have tried to change drivers, has been a failure of Niels actually getting in the car. That could be the possible problem there. So that would be a real shame for Niels van der Kerkhout and George Boothby after Boothby's storming drive for the first half of the race.
Yeah, and that's exactly a horrible thing, because of course if the other driver doesn't get in, then the penalties that come as a result on top of that are just going to be absolutely crippling. So yeah, that's going to be one to watch out for sure, Alex. But just watching back to the action on track here as Marcus Littlewood for the Omega Racing team in the number 10 machine, currently trying to hold off the Mercedes of Harry Spears, tries to go round the outside here, and this is going to be dangerous stuff. Two cars going in towards Brundle and Nelson. Is never going to work out. They both compromise themselves and hold themselves back. That is going to be Severe in the background trying to capitalise on that. Thibaut Prost here just in front of the Porsche. Now, has Thibaut Prost actually... No, he's taken place from Robin Pagano. That's why I was confused there. But the penalties coming in thick and fast. Oh my goodness me, right.
Yeah.
Incident between cars 404 and 81 on lap 4. It's a drive-through for car 81. Incident between cars 345 and 4 on lap 15. That's the Nissan. The car 4 gets another penalty there, and the 229, the incident between the 229 and car number 4 on lap 7, that's a drive-through for the 229. So everybody gets a penalty.
You get a penalty, you get a penalty. Come on down, everyone. The penalties are coming gloriously now here tonight on Snetterton. But no, I mean, Marcus Littlewood was fending off Harry Spears. But look, Chris Severe looking racy in that Nissan. He's only 3/10 off of the Mercedes. Now, what you've got to remember here, Chris Severe has already served that drive-through penalty. So Sasha Glatter handed over to Chris Severe. Severe went, okay, I'm going to bite the bullet, get the penalty out of the way. He did that on the very next lap. Straight away, he's off like a rocket ship at the moment in that Nissan. The only one on the grid. And the interesting statistic out of this, David, is that Lexus and Nissan are only represented by one car for each manufacturer out of the 9 we've got on this grid for Season 3.
Yeah, it's a bit of a Ferrari love-in tonight for the Sprint Cup with about 10 cars in the top 23. But it does look like we've lost another driver. That is the 47 of George Boothby. I cannot see him on my timing screens right now. So 47 of George Boothby and Niels van de Kekkel looks like they have thrown their toys out the pram and they are going home. Without any tears, we see the 214. That is Verstappen in the Aston Martin going very, very wide into the corner there and losing that position. Christoph Verstappen loses 11th place to Thibaut Prost and Jaroslav Honzik. Back with Marcus Littlewood though in the number 10 Omega Racing team, currently trying to hunt down the number 7 McLaren of Pavlos in 7th place. I mean, this has been a great performance for Littlewood in that number 10. We saw, I mean, amazing progress through the field from his teammate Alex Johnson. Just simply mind-blowing progress right at the start, and then having that accident, that little spin that dropped him back down to 12th and 13th, and they've made up massive amount of time in the pit and back up into the top 10. And not only that, their pace is really, really on point right now, Alex.
One of the biggest things as well with Alex Johnson and Marcus Littlewood, I know for a fact that Marcus's dad Stephen is actually watching as well. They're both from the UK karting scene, so they know how to recover from a bit of a moment or an off-track excursion. But the thing is that they were actually headhunted by the Omega E Racing team, an Italian team, and they said, "Oh, these guys look rather racy," and so they took them on board. The first few races got the bugs out of their system, so to speak, and Littlewood and Johnston have now become a true part of the team, and yeah, they are rapid as hell. And Paulus is not giving any chance to breathe. A little bit further up the road, well, I think this is this driver's first appearance on Sprint Cup Season 3. Tinko van der Velde in the 96. And then you've got Walmuth in the number 16 now in 5th place. But Marcus Littlewood has now got a drive-through penalty. Now I'm wondering, is that for track limits? Because I haven't seen anything come up on race control. But he's going to serve that quickly. Good rapid response there from Marcus Littlewood. He saw that come up. He went, right, I'm going to serve it, get it out of the way. It's going to drop him out of the top 10. So, yeah, that is... I think what Marcus Littlewood has got to do now is just put the blinkers on and just go for it. So it was not a track limit. It was this was from race control, and it was on the 285 on lap number 25. So that would have been Littlewood, possibly on Spears, I believe, who's in P8. But this is now given the opportunity for Christie, the only US driver in this grid. He's closing hand over fist on Harry Spears. And then Thibaut Probst is just behind him as well in the number... no, Thibaut Probst is a little bit further back. But there's one McLaren, I think that's one of the Carbon Sim Sport cars, probably the number 7, I believe, that is actually behind Spears, or is that the other one? I'm not too sure.
I've got to say, I mean, huge props to the 404 H3 racing machine of Luke Whitehead and Hamada Erquizi. Hamada coming up into 3rd place. I mean, that is just a brilliant, brilliant result. And then Richard Lindhorst in the 111 Porsche taking over from Florian Becker in that elferspot.com Porsche. I mean, those two have literally come out of nowhere. They were in, I think they were running between 11th and 13th place respectively, and they've just made a mammoth charge up the grid to take second and to take 3rd and 4th right now. And I've got to be honest, I don't think anybody's going to be challenging them.
No, I think when you've got to look at it, that Erquizi and Whitehead, they started from P17 on the grid, so that's at the half point. So when everything kicked off in front of them, going through into Riches, then coming out of the exit of the corner, Whitehead and Erquizi, I think they had lady luck shining on them, despite the fact that the track has been completely saturated and the rain is still coming down heavily over, well, just under an hour of racing here. And now Christopher's really got the opportunity, as I've just seen that there's a drive-through penalty for the number 33. That is the Zenith Esports Ferrari. And that has got currently Nathan Covello Costa. That's the Spanish duo. He's partnered with Jose Lago Montero. And that was for avoidable contact on lap number 12 with car number 4, which was Hulk Racing Team with Danny Hughes behind the wheel. There's now Daniel Ferrier in the Adrenaline Red car, trying to close on Yannick Hammer in the number 999 KEK Sim Racing Lexus, going through into Riches and now into Wilson.
Yeah, that Ferrari's got a lot of pace on it, but again, I'm very impressed with the Lexus and the ability that has to get the traction out of the corners, doing a very good job of holding on to that place ahead of Ferrier in the 345 Ferrari. This is on board with Jan Onorati in the Racing Line Motorsport 1919, taking ahead, taking control from Marek Schintz. Very, very forgettable race so far for that team. It's been Lady Luck has definitely not been looking at them this evening, I tell you that for sure. But on the back of the Ferrari of Sheldon Muscat, that 36 machine just in front, Sheldon struggling, I think, with these tricky conditions here in England at Snetterton on round 1, really struggling to find anywhere of an apex there, as we saw. That was a Ferrari that was power sliding through the corner there, but just chasing down the 295 Mercedes that's just in front. That's the PC Boys Esports 2 machine of Vishal Patel, taking over from Lucas Romeic in the 295 just in front. And these three are pretty much on their own. The Ferrari in a bit of a Mercedes sandwich right now, and Alex, that's it's not exactly an enviable position to be in, because these cars just really seem to love those conditions. Contact. Sheldon Muscat gets hit from the rear from Jan Onorati, and I think that Vishay Patel was involved in that in the 295 as well. He seemed to be caught out there, and the Ferrari just really trying to look every which way to get past. I wonder if he's feeling that he's being held back, which is fine, but he has to make that move. As you can see, Patel moving one way or the other to try and hold on to Sheldon Muscat, and that is allowing Jan Onorati to get right back up to the back of them again. Cracking little battle. I might remind you, ladies and gentlemen, this is just for P17, just being the word. Brilliant little battle here, and the 295 PC Boys Esports 2 machine of Vishal Patel doing everything he can to hold on to that place. And around the outside, surely not. Sheldon Muscat compromised there, thinks better of it, but that Ferrari is fast.
Yeah, that was going through Agostini there. Now into the left-hander at Hamilton. Moment there for Vishal Patel. He nearly lost the back end on Arati, closing on Muscat. Muscat trying to go around the outside through Oggies. That's not going to work. And now he looks to the left. He now looks to the right. Muscat's definitely piggy in the middle here, but hopefully he might be able to stretch the legs on that Ferrari, which is now going down the Bentley straight, heading towards Brundle and Nelson. But Vishal Patel managing to stretch the legs on the Mercedes. Here's a replay we're going to go to now. Now this is going through, I think that is through into, that was through into Murray's. Oh, little tag from behind on Onorati. Well, from Onorati onto Muscat. But Vishal Patel actually lost the back end coming through the corner. So these tricky conditions, I'm sure that the drivers will be breathing a big sigh of relief, and hopefully that things are going to be dry next time out in 2 weeks at Misano.
Oh man, if Sheldon Muscat gets passed by Jan Onorati, he's straight up going to rip that wheel off and throw it out the window. I think the frustration is real. You can see it with the aggressive defensive driving there. But we go picture in picture then. On the top left, you can see that battle with Vishal Patel, Sheldon Muscat and Jan Onorati. On the right-hand side, you can see the battle for 7th, 8th and 9th place there. You've got Paulus, you've got Spears and you've got Sever in the mix as well for that one. So yeah, fascinating move on the inside there. They're side by side on the run down here. This is awesome stuff, and he still can't get it done. A great run on through Montreal there. I thought Muscat was going to have that done for sure, but he can't. And this is still going on the run down to Agostini. He has to attack, he has to defend all at the same time, and he goes wide. Oh, that's exactly what happened. You're overthinking it, you overdrive the car, and that means Sheldon Muscat gets done by Jan Onorati. Back to the battle for 8th, 9th then. This is between Sever and I think that's Prost that he's got around the inside. No, what the move. Oh, that was Spears, sorry.
Yeah, he just literally sent it right up the inside, coming out of the bomb hole through into Coram. I noticed with regards to the moment there for Sheldon Muscat, he outbraked himself. He got caught out by Vishal Patel, and that gave Onorati the opportunity to go up in the inside. So now Sheldon Muscat in the GT Omega RPM Esports Ferrari now has to go fighting toe-to-toe with Onorati and Patel, to be completely honest with you. And that's not going to be easy because you've got 26 minutes still to go. The rain's still coming down. The track has started coming to the drivers, but there have been mistakes made. And, you know, this is a 90-minute race. Okay, this might be known as a sprint cup, but this is more a marathon, not a sprint. We've got another 5 race nights after this one over the next few weeks. It's not going to be easy, and with a tight and technical circuit, especially from Wilson onwards through Palmer, through Agostini, through Hamilton, through Oggies, through Williams, that's where you're going to get caught out the most.
It certainly is. And on that note, Alex, I mean, you can see just how much Onorati has got on his plate right now, trying to attack and defend right now. Vishal Patel is a complete cork in this bottle.
Well, yeah, I mean, effectively, the minute that something happens there, that if Patel has a moment, it's going to release Onorati. It's also going to release Muscat, and that was very close going through Agostini. Onorati nearly got caught out there because Patel is the one that's the yardstick. So Onorati's got to just basically watch what Patel does and then have to sometimes react within a split second. Oh, that was close. That nearly allowed Muscat to seize the day and go through the inside, possibly through Oggies. Now into the right-hander at Williams, onto the Bentley straight. There is absolutely no give at all. As Onorati on the grass! Oh my goodness me! What was that? But Sheldon Muscat managed to get through. Onorati went to the left-hand side of Vishal Patel, going onto the Bentley straight, as now Muscat was trying to go around the outside of Vishal Patel. There might have been a little bit of a touch. Muscat off the circuit. Patel still ahead at this particular moment in time, but Onorati still right behind. And now that is allowing the likes of Yannick Hammer and Daniel Ferrier to close in. Look, the Lexus and the Ferrari not too far behind, and then you've got the 77. You've got the 77 of Griffax Engineering just behind David. This is not over yet. We've got just under 24 minutes of the race. It's anybody's guess who is going to survive what what this race is showing, as Niels Nyox has just put in a 1:51.9. Charlie Crossland in second, 6.7 seconds adrift. Now has done a 1:52.3. So Nyox has now that was very, very cheeky there from Jan Onorati, but Vishal Patel managed to keep it on the tarmac, but that's going to allow Sheldon Scott Muscat to come through, possibly as long as Yannick Hammer does not come at him like a freight train. Moment there for Patel going through the left-hander at Palmer's, and now Marcus Littlewood closing on Darren King in the 377 Ford Zilla car for 14th position. And just up the road, they've got the 214 of NSN Racing's Christoph Verstappen.
Wow, that was awesome racing. I've got to be honest though, Patel getting his absolute just desserts there, because you can't run another car onto the grass like that in a braking zone. That's exactly what Patel did to Onorati the previous lap round. Onorati took to the grass, and so again, swings and roundabouts there, and Onorati finally gets past him, but now Patel is going to have a whole heap of trouble on his tail in the form of Sheldon Muscat again. Yannick Hamer is going to be back on the tail of him, and so is Ferrier, and possibly Kapunin on the attack as well. But I mean, how are we only 20 minutes left to go in this race, Alex? Where on earth has the past an hour and 10 minutes gone? Thrilling stuff, and we are in for one cracker of a finale for this race. But I mean, Niels Nyox checking out, absolutely gone with it right now. 7 seconds up in the lead there, still about 3 to 4 tenths of a lap faster than Charlie Crossland, who is not going slow at all. But Hamada Erquizi, I mean, he's looking quite fast there as well. He could be threatening for that second place, as we see Yannick Hamer and Sheldon. That is the Ferrari, is it? It's the
Daniel Ferrier. Daniel Ferrier in the 345, the Adrenaline Red crew. But I've just been having a look at. Big thanks to Michael Hamlet for this information. All right, the team that has gone up the order, the most positions. Okay, started P27, has gained 22 places. That is the number 96. That's Sidemax Motorworks. That is the pairing of Lucas Kreuzer and Tinko van der Velde. They're up into P5. That's an absolutely brilliant drive by the pair of them. Harmada Erquizi and Luke Whitehead up 14 places from P17 to P3. Harry Spears and also the other driver in that crew, that is Marcel Fusi. They started, 21st, they're now P9, and they've got Jardier closing. So there have been so many positional changes. Funnily enough, Valentin Barrier and Jardier have only gone up 5 places, so they're up in P10, 7.9 seconds behind Harry Spears. As now Sheldon Muscat closing on Vishal Patel in the 295 PC Esports car. Well, that's getting rather close through the bomb hole. Don't go too wide there, boys, but Muscat's going to thread the eye of the needle going through into Coram. This is going to allow Yannick Hammond to close in, and he's got right up the back bumper, but Patel's gone onto the curbs. He's now trying to squeeze Sheldon Muscat, but Muscat not having any of it. 20 minutes to go on the clock, David. Oh my goodness.
Oh, it's almost 3 wide down the start-finish straight. Right, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, let's play a little game, because one of these 5 cars is about to get murder, death, killed in the next 3 laps. Place your bets in YouTube. I want to see what number you think it is, if it's going to be the 295, the 36, the 999, or the 77. And the winner gets a pat on the back from me, socially distanced, of course.
I was just gonna say, hang on a second, was that a Demolition Man, Sylvester Stallone, Wesley Snipes?
It was, mate. It was. I'm so chuffed that you actually got that.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm showing my age again, aren't I? But look, Yannick Hammer up the inside. Look, like everything has just gone wrong. Sheldon Scott Muscat off the circuit, and that was going through Agostini. Yannick Hammer's now jumped up to 18th position. Kalpinen in the 77 Griffax engineering car. Well, hang on, that's Daniel Ferrier? Oh my goodness me! And I've just heard that Muscat and Patel have just had a moment. Patel off. and that is not where you want that to happen, and that is through Oggies.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you put 295 in the chat, congratulations, you win that socially distant pat on the back from myself. That was it was a long time coming. Praise be to Sheldon Muscat for showing the restraint, but I've got no doubt that he just decided to absolutely send him to the nether realm on that one. The frustration would have absolutely gotten the better of them there. And look, I'll be honest with you, Alex, I really didn't like from Patel there that aggression on the defensive drive in there. It was very, very dangerous at times, and he could have been very, very lucky to not have actually taken any of the 4 cars out behind him. And I still think Race Control will be coming down on that very, very hard. They are under investigation twice, and you just can't drive like that.
No, especially on the start-finish straight. It's a case that when you are racing these conditions, as Chris Sever swarming all over the back bumper of the number 7 Carbon SimSport blue car, that's Damian Paulus from Poland. Oh, Paulus loses it. Oh, and that's given Chris Sever the opportunity coming out of Nelson. And good to get through the bomb hole. That Nissan now up into P7. I must admit, despite that moment for Sasha Glatter with the drive-through, now we're going to go back to this. Now, I understand that teams can do a mid-race appeal, and that's probably what the 36 has done. So Patel, now they come out of the corner here, and Muscat gives him a little tap from behind.
That's a bit naughty.
Well, to be honest with you, the thing is that what he's now done is that he's now allowed Patel to go past, and that's the sportsmanlike thing to do. So I have to give props to Sheldon Muscat for doing that. It's the courtesy rule, effectively.
See, that didn't need to happen. That was because of the 295, Patel braking and coming over to the left. He's done that several times on the past previous laps. It's all done.
Littlewood's gone round. He went up the inside of Darren King through Wilson, and I think there was just a little bit of a touch, and it just sent Littlewood to a spin, and that means that Mooney in this 777 has now gone through. So Littlewood down into what I think is going to be 16th position. Oh my goodness me, not too sure. I caught the tail end of it, but I saw Littlewood's the rear end of that Ferrari spinning around like a good 360 at Wilson's.
Yeah, that's very, very unfortunate. Traffic building up as well could have come into the mix. Just a check-in on our race leader. It's been a while since we've spoken about him, but Nils Noyaux 7.2 seconds ahead in the lead. Purple lap, fastest lap, Yaroslav Honzik in the 39 Jardier Community Team race car, 151.7. That is absurdly fast in the Audi. I tell you what, they might not have chosen that car or wanted to stick with it, but it's not doing them too badly just now. I mean, it is going to be a top 10 finish, but when you consider there's another 6 rounds left to go, Alex, that's still a decent performance. 6
including this one. Good points. There will be ballast next time out, so Jardier and Valentin Barrier will have 20 kilos of ballast, but that will be 40 points. But look, Richard Lindhorst has been absolutely been given the school of send by Chris Sever. That Nissan has been on fire in both the hands of Sever and Glatter, and they had a drive-through. So what you've got to remember here, Sasha Glatter handed over to Chris Sever. Sever came in the next lap, served the drive-through, and he's been unstoppable. He's been like a freight train in that particular car, and Sever's been running pretty well in the 52.2s at the minute.
Yeah, but what is up with Lindhorst? He did a 54.0 that last lap round, and he's really struggling for any sort of traction. That GTR just passed him like he was standing still, and I wonder if that Porsche is just really, really struggling to get to grips with the track now, because that McLaren behind him is not exactly been very fast. Damien Pavlos, it's still in 8th place, and I know that sounds like a complete oxymoron to say that, but really, really struggling to get any sort of traction in that Porsche, in the Treble 1 Porsche. And it looks like both Harry Spears and Damien Pavlos could be on it. But there you go. Nils Noyaux, your race leader, answers back to that fastest lap, 151.5. That is impressive stuff. Again, with him being the race leader. So what he's seen is he's listening to us, me and you, Alex. He's heard us saying about Jardier getting the fastest lap, and he thought, "No, I'm not having that, guy." So I've got to be honest. I mean, 8 seconds up in front, Alex. He's got enough time to stop for a drive-through, get a little bit of some fast food, and off he goes.
Yeah, I think Niles Noakes just did the hold my beer treatment there on Jardier well and truly by, what was it, the best part of, just over 0.2 of a second. There's Damien Paulus now going into battle with Richard Lindhorst, going into Riches, and just behind is Harry Spears. So we've now got a really exciting three-way scrap for 7th position as Harry Spears nearly hits the back, touches the back of Paulus, but gets up the inside through Wilson's. So Harry Spears, having taken over the 285 from Marcel Fouzi, now has just 12 3/4 minutes to try and see if he can get past Richard Lindhorst. But that Porsche seems to be struggling a little bit now. Lindhorst has done a really, really good job to keep it up there, but you know, how long is it going to be before that Porsche makes a mistake?
Not long. I'll be honest with you, he's under a lot of pressure right now, and Honzig, I think, is going to be looking to try and get himself potentially up into P7 or P8, but I mean, 12 minutes left to go. It's a tall order, and I think that the positions are now starting to settle down. I can't really see, apart from the battle between 6th, 7th and 8th place, or maybe even, 7th, 8th and 9th, that changing. But other than that, it looks pretty much settled right now.
Yeah, as we now go back to Raymond Mooney and Marcus Littlewood there. So that's the number 777. That's the Sim Racing Masterclass Ferrari. And Littlewood is within 5.5 of a second. Harry Spears looks to be getting some good traction in that Mercedes. But also, it's good on the brakes, because what you've got to also remember here is that with the front engine car, it's going to be a little bit sharper on the front brakes because of the positioning of the engine. The Porsche is going to feel a little bit light at the front because the engine's right in the back of it. And that's where the biggest differential is between Porsche and Mercedes. As, you know, and also the fact is the performance of it as well. Kauppinen, look, he's closing on the back bumper of Ferrier. Harry Spears now swarming all over the back bumper of Lindhorst, with Paulus just behind. There's Jardier. He's about a couple of seconds behind this battle as Paulus goes very close up the inside of Harry Spears there, going through Wilson, and now into the left-hander at Palmer's. This is getting rather racing. But I mean, Jardier, in that particular last lap alone, David, he's doing 51.7s at the minute. That's crazy pace in that Audi. Jardier's on a mission. He wants to be not in P10. He wants to be, probably, if he can, it's not without the realm of feasibility in the next 10.5 minutes, whether he might be able to get past these three, because they are battling away. And Jardier's now got that gap down to just under 1.4 seconds. 0.6 he's just taken out of him.
Yeah, it's going to be like taking candy from a baby with these three. I think he's going to not only get past these three, I think potentially he's going to finish in 6th place. He's got Sever to catch up, who is about 6 seconds up the road. But given that he is faster than everyone else, it's not so much of an issue. Penalty come in for the instant between cars 999 and 345 on lap 39. That is going to be a drive-through for the 345 car. That is, of course, the instant that we saw earlier on with the Adrenaline Red team of Vishal Patel. It's Daniel Ferrier and Rhys Tattersall against the 999 Keck Sim Racing of Jan Kaminski and Yannick Hamer that we saw. That was just after, that was about 3 laps ago, actually, because we're on lap 40.
Oh, Jardier's getting a bit racy. Look, he's got his elbows out. Powers around the outside of Paulus before even the right-hander at Riches. Craziness now from Jardier. He's on a mission. He's on a binge of speed. And look, Lindhorst is now realising, hang on, oh no, I've got an Audi behind me. So Jardier has definitely got the pedal pushed to the floor. And you were right, Chris Sever's just up ahead. Well, Chris Sever's looking, I think if he can hang on for the next 8 minutes and 50 seconds, I'm sure that both he Yeah, and I've just, I just think at the end of it, yeah, Jardier's got, like you say, he's got a real good chance of being P6 at the end of this race.
We see that's the just confirmation there of the drive-through for 345. But yeah, I mean, look, the pace he's got is absolutely sensational, Alex. He is on a charge right now. We're currently watching Harry Spears for the Sidemax Motorworks 285 Mercedes. Mercedes having such a good day out, but it has almost all been about the Ferraris. 3 in the top 5 of Christie, Walmuth and Tinko van der Velde in the Sidemax Motorworks 986 machine. But here is Harry Spears in the 285, currently trying to chase down Chris Sever in that Nissan, who is getting held up. I think that might be the 229 that is just in front of him. The Mercedes that he is struggling to get past just now of Daniel Guichon. Just not happening at all. But look at Jaroslav Honzig, the determination and the throttle control and the discipline is the word I was looking for there, to just hold on till the appropriate time to get past that 111 car of Richard Lindhorst. And again, that car was up in 4th position and it's just dropping backwards. And here comes Jardier on the outside of the run down to Richard turn 1. He's got the move done before turn 1 even comes up. Beautiful move from the Audi. That is another one dispatched, and that is another one on the way to P6. Sever and Spears are going to be very, very nervous looking in their mirrors. Sever is going to be very nervous anyway because he's got Spears just about a second, make that half a second behind him and catching very quickly. But as I said, Honzig has got to get past, I believe that is the 229 that is just behind the Harry Spears 285 machine.
Yeah, that'll be with Dan Ginchard behind the wheel. But what you've got to understand here is that Jardier has done exactly that same move on Paulus and Lindhorst, getting, well, he actually got round the outside of Lindhorst as they went into Riches. He actually got there before he got past Paulus. There's Darren King. He's now closing on Christopher Strepe in the number 214 NSN Racing. Aston Martin, designed by a regular that's also one of the more common drivers known in the more female races with Thrustmaster. Denise Pope has also designed the NSN car and the GT Omega RPM Esports Ferrari as well. So great work by her on designing in many respects, but a lot of colour here. But look, Darren King closing on Christopher Strepe. Going down into Brundle, and King looking towards the inside, thought better off on that particular occasion. But then now Honzig has lost a bit of time to Harry Spears. One of the biggest things I've noticed here is that Harry Spears and Marcel Fouzi, David, are in the non-Evo AMG GT3.
Yeah, and they're doing a fantastic job of holding on to that, because the non-Evo GT3 is something we don't really see all too often, because everyone seems to think that newer is better. And there are certain conditions where the older one actually outperforms the Evo in several categories, especially when it's these extreme wet conditions like this, especially where it tends to be the older, tighter, twisty circuits, as we see Sever having a huge moment coming out of that corner there. This is, of course, on the run down to Agostini, and I've got to be honest, Spears is looking very, very good to take that 6th place from Sever. I wonder, is Chris Sever just pushing that GTR a little bit too far now?
It depends on whether, you know, he was like a rat up a drainpipe with the pace on that GTR a bit earlier on after doing that drive-through penalty, so he knew he had to respond in order to get the Black Hawk Racing crew, you know, along with obviously him and Sasha Glatter. It was more a case of just trying to get up as far up the order and then hang on for the last 5 minutes of the race and just see if you can stay where you are. Just hold station. And to be completely honest, David, 6th place is going to give you 48 points. Okay, it's going to give you 24 kilos of ballast, but from where they started, that's a pretty good effort from Glatter and Sever on that particular occasion. And now we've got a real scrap here. Thibaut Props in the 99. Then you've got Robin Paul Gardel in the 911 GTRC Endurance Team Porsche. Then I think you've got Verstappen and Darren King just behind. Well, there's plenty more pins on the grenades being pulled here with just under 4 minutes to go.
Yeah, 3 minutes 45 left to go. Robin Pagaro for the GTRC Endurance team trying to make his way through, but there is Harry Spears on the back of Christie in that GTR. That GTR is not known pressure like it. Spears drops wide at the entrance of turn number 2, drops him further back into the clutches of Jaroslav Hondig, aka Judgy. We've got a car off in the back. That is the treble 1 of Richard Lindhorst into the grass at turn 2. Meanwhile, Christie Verstappen tries to go up the inside of that 911 of Robin Pagaro, gets compromised, and Dan King for Fordzilla tries to make up the inside, 3 cars wide, and it thinks better of it. Dan King takes the position. It's all kicking off here with 3 minutes left to go in round 1 of the Sprint Cup Season 3. Incredible action here. So Robin Pagaro up into P number 12, and Dan King is getting caught hand over fist from that Aston Martin. Crazy action here in the dying throes of the race. 2 minutes left to go, 45 seconds on top of that. Alex, this is just absolute madness. Jaroslav Hondig looking to catch up onto the back of Harry Spears.
Yeah, this is rather interesting because Marcel Fusi has just said they've got 8.2 litres of fuel for 3 laps. Their fuel consumption currently is 3.2 litres per lap. They've got it, and Jardier's on Spears right now. And that is the biggest thing, because when you have to lift and coast in that Mercedes, that gives the Audi the opportunity. Now, if they've been running in a slightly higher map... Oh, moment there for Darren King and Christopher Streppe. I think there was a little bit of a touch between Pagaro and King. And look, Jardier's right on the back bumper of Harry Spears going across the line. Just under 2 minutes to go. Jaroslav Hondig looking to get towards the outside. He's done this twice in this race. Is he going to go round the outside through into Riches? He thinks better of it, holds back, and then waits to have the opportunity to go through into Wilson's, and then into the next left-hander. Jardier is out for blood.
Oh, this is incredible stuff. We're on the penultimate lap right now because your race leader Niles Noyox for G2 Esports currently along the Bentley Straight, racing down towards Brundle and Nelson as we speak. You can see that picture-in-picture. Huge thanks to our production director Mike Yao in the background there for the awesome contact here. Let's have a look here though. This is again Jaroslav Hondig just behind Harry Spears, still trying to look every which way that he possibly can. Oh, this is the battle now for 11th, 12th, 13th and 14th place. It's absolutely manic. Up the inside goes Dan King. What a move. There's contact and that spins the Ferrari around. It's drama and gets collected.
He just got hit by Mooney. Mooney had nowhere to go. He came flying into the corner to the 777, and Darren King just got a touch. Well, that was more than a touch. It was a bit of a hard hit. But I must be honest here, as Jardier now trying to do everything in his power to get past Harry Spears. We've just had another penalty issued by Race Control. Drive-through for car number 229. That is the PC Boys Esports car. That has got Daniel Ginchard currently behind the wheel for a contact with the 81 of Blackhawk Racing's Chris Sever, as now Jardier going through Coram, absolutely hustling Harry Spears to within an inch of the paintwork on that Mercedes, as we've got only just less than 10 seconds on the clock. But Jardier is going to go for it. He's got in the slipstream, as now Niles Noyox is making his way through the final few sections on the circuit. Jardier still has one more lap to go to try and get past Harry Spears.
And he's got the run, you can tell. Look at that Mercedes having to dive left, then dive right, takes the inside line for turn 2. Jaroslav Hondig going to try and go round the outside of Montreal. That would never work, but he gets a really nice run. They're on the move down to Palmer. Meanwhile, your race leader is into the bomb hole for the final time. The 295 has had an accident there. 295 going very wide indeed. But it's all about your race leader, Niles Noyox, coming through to Coram. And we keep an eye on this battle between Harry Spears and Jaroslav Hondig as Niles Noyox comes into Murray's for the final time. And we don't know where to go because Jaroslav Hondig around the outside. But here comes your race leader to take race 1 at the Sprint Cup Season 3, Niles Noyox for G2 Esports. A wonderful, fantastic win there for the number 62 there. Great result for Niles Noyox and his teammate Ellery Kensland. But here we go then. Yaroslav Honzik on the fight for P7. Harry Spears looks like he might have that done. They're into Brundle and Nelson, and I think Yaroslav Honzik might be thinking about just backing off this, though it's the battle for 11th and 12th place right now. It is 12th and 13th, because Robin Pegadel has got past Christoph Verstappen in a cracking move there. And
Jardier, I've got to cut across you here. Jardier trying to thread the eye of the needle, going through Corin for the final time, right on the back bumper, but it could be a drag race to the finish. Well, Spears is going to hold it, but will Jardier go for the run to the line? The checkered flag waves, and they are literally covered by 78 thousandths of a second, but Harry Spears holds on. Yaroslav Honzik takes 8th place. Paulus takes 8th. Well, Honzik takes 7th. Paulus takes 8th. Lindhorst 9th. Thibaut Props will take 10th ahead of Pogacar. Verstappen takes 12th ahead of King. You've then got Mooney and Littlewood now coming across the line in 14th and 15th respectively. But to be honest with you, it has been absolute dominance by the pairing of G2 Esports of Artur Kamara replacing Gregor Schill for this round, and Niles Noyox. That was a brilliant win. 12.1 seconds at the end of that. Charlie Crossland and James Parker taking second in the 699 Send-It Mercedes. But, yeah, H3 Racing, Hamada Akwizi and Luke Whitehead, P17 to P3. That was a great debut here on the sim grid for them in terms of the Sprint Cup.
That was awesome stuff. Dominance for the G2 Esports 62 outfit of Niles Noyox and Alar Kenslin, and I think they're going to be very, very delighted with that. We'll hear from the drivers in just a couple of moments. I think we need to take a deep breath. What an incredible start to the season we had here for Season 3 of the Sprint Cup. And yeah, Alex, there was so much contact through that race, and I think it was handled actually incredibly fairly tonight.
I think at the end of the day, if Race Control had decided to go to town, they could have done. However, it's the first round of the season. Now that things have sort of, the dust will settle after this, the drivers will have a couple of weeks. Okay, we know that they won't have completely a couple of weeks breaks until Misano in a couple of weeks' time, because obviously we've got Super Saturday with the first round of Best of British at Alton Park this coming Saturday, and then everyone that's going to gear up for qualifying for the SimGrid times SimGrid VCO World Cup that starts on April 1st with a qualifying session for the 12 Hours of Bathurst, which kickstarts the 5-round calendar with a $20,000 prize fund, and there's 2 splits on that as well. Now that what they're going to do is the strategies will really go into full effect for round 2 at Misano, and to be honest with you, looking at the circuits that we've got this season, you know, you've got Misano on March 25th, Imola 8th of April, Hungaroring 22nd of April. That's going to be a difficult circuit to overtake. But then the shortest and most tightest circuit on our calendar, May 6th at Zolder. That's going to be where we're going to really see who are going to come to the fore and who are going to be fighting for the title at Suzuka on May 20th.
Very much looking forward to that. Let's get some driver interviews on the go then. We'll have our first up is going to be the 404, which was, of course, the H3 Racing Black of Luke Whitehead and Hamada Erquizi, finishing in 3rd place. A great result for them. And Luke, a very good evening, buddy. That is exactly what you want for the start of the Sprint Cup. A 3rd place, and yeah, that's. I guess you'll take that.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I'm absolutely buzzing. Starting P17, you know, probably should have been a lot higher up. I think on our lap, we got blocked, which was unfortunate. And then in the start, obviously, there was that incident. We got caught up in that. We also got spun out. But, you know, to come back through and finish P3, I was aiming for a top 10. I honestly thought a top 10 would be all we could achieve. But I'm absolutely ecstatic. I'm just so happy. You know, it's my first race against the proper big boys, you know, and you know, to mix it with them adequately and to have the pace, I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, that's a bit of a baptism of fire. So what happened then? Did you secretly strap a couple of jet engines to that thing? Because the pace you had in that first half of the race was just incredible.
Well, I've done a lot of testing this week, and I knew that I had some pace in reserve because when I was in the server with a couple of other drivers, obviously James being one of them at one point, and I was matching him lap for lap for lap, and I knew that he is a very, very quick guy. So I knew that I'd have some pace in the wet. I didn't really expect to have that much, which was nice. You know, it's always pleasant to do better than what you expect, but yeah, we just kept out of trouble. I think that was the key. You know, a lot of people faltered and made mistakes, and I think especially, you know, this track's really tough at the best of times. So, you know, in the wet, people showed that it was really tough. So to keep out of trouble, you know, Hamada did an absolutely amazing job keeping the car on track. You know, a couple of people got in our way. A lapped car actually flick spinned into him through the chicane, through the bomb hole, which is never something you want to see. But yeah, the setup was also amazing. Ashton Cox has just joined 2 days ago as the team engineer, and he's done bits. He's done an awesome job. So yeah, absolutely brilliant.
Well, a huge congratulations to the 404 H3 Racing Black team. Look quite ahead to yourself and obviously your teammate Hamada Arquisi. Looking forward to seeing you through the rest of the season.
Certainly. Thank you very much. Thank you.
There we go. Let's have a quick chat then to second place. And again, what a fantastic drive it was. So we'll bring in your second place finishers. That was, of course, the 699. So that was Charlie Crossland. So we'll bring him in, and James Parker as well. So Charlie and James, there's been worse starts to the season, hasn't there?
Yeah. I mean, I'm quite happy with the P2 right now after that. Turn 1 incidents. So, yeah, that
was just craziness. Talk us through it from your point of view, James, because I mean there were cars flying everywhere.
I literally had no idea what was going on. I saw the Mercs on the outside go deep and touch Arthur, and I thought if I tried to go inside and almost climb the curb, I could sneak through and drive off into the distance. But unfortunately, I was just a little bit too slow. And as Arthur got hit, obviously, by one of the Mercs, he just speared into me. So got a good chunk of damage with that, unfortunately. But our pace was insane. I mean, the car was insanely quick. The only thing we didn't have was straight line speed, and that's what obviously kept the G2 car ahead throughout the first stint. It was impossible to overtake them. So we tried the undercut because we could see cars were coming up behind us. And gaining on us when we were stuck behind them. But unfortunately, we got caught traffic on our outlap. So at that point, P2 just tell Charlie to bring it home and, you know, take the points.
I have to ask, because obviously the 62 was in front of you, James, for like such a long time, and you were throwing everything you possibly could. I mean, how did you stay calm and collected at that point?
I was just trying to force Arthur into a mistake because I knew I only needed one opportunity. But it just credit to Arthur. I mean, he drove exceptionally well, defended exceptionally well, and he didn't make a mistake big enough that I could capitalise. I didn't want to do anything silly after the chaos. You know, we were very fortunate to get back into P2. I didn't want to risk that, so I was pretty calm. I just wanted to take my opportunity if it came up. But unfortunately, I mean, we had one lap where we were side by side down the pit straight, but I think you could probably see the difference in straight line speed at that point. It was funny, very funny. So settle for P2 and see how we go in Mazzano.
And Charlie, from your own point of view, obviously James handed the car over. It was a really tough fight, and then Niles just seemed to find an extra gear in that car. At that point, did you just sort of knuckle down and think, right, I'm just holding on to this?
I just wanted to hold on to P2 the whole time. It's one of my weakest tracks, and trying to learn it was quite tough. But yeah.
What sort of work was involved with you and James on the run-up to this season? I mean, do you guys spend a lot of time together practicing the tracks, or...?
Well, we know the calendar suits the Mercs, and I'm a Merc driver. So James just said that, go whatever car you want, and I wanted the Merc, so...
Happy days. Well, congratulations, guys. A brilliant run for you in the 699 Snetterton Racing team. Thanks to James Parker and Charlie Crossland. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks' time.
Yep, take care, David.
Thank you.
So there we go then, Charlie Crossland and James Parker. Without further ado though, let's bring in your race winners, Niles Noyox and Arthur Kammerer for the G2 Esports number 62 team. Gentlemen, that was a very, very strong display tonight. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So Arthur, we'll come to you first, because obviously qualifying very, very important. We got that put onto pole position, and it looked a very strong time. But talk us through lap 1 and turn 1, because you had your fair share of contact there.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, Niels put it on pole, which was the base for everything, and put the pressure on me not to screw up. Going into turn 1, I thought I actually wouldn't screw it up, but just as I tried turning in, I felt a hit from the car behind, and that sent me. I'm not even sure. I haven't checked the replay, but in the end it sent me into the spin. Someone else collected me and put me back in the straight line. This moment felt like ages, because I had all the time to think about how it has already ended before turn 1, but for some reason I was facing the right way again and took off again. It was still in the lead, however that was possible.
That was exactly the reaction we had in the commentary box, because we saw you going down the list on the leaderboard, which obviously doesn't update in real time, and then I looked on live timing and you were still way out in front. I was like, how on earth does that happen? So a really fortunate recovery from that start line incident. But I mean, Arthur, you were under so much pressure from James Parker for that first half of the race. What was that like, trying to hold him off?
It was very, very difficult. James's car, even though it was damaged too, this combination was just in the first stint so much faster, and he put so much pressure on me, and I always tried to cover him off a bit, and that in the end just lost me times. I just lost me time everywhere around the laps, and my consistency just wasn't as good as it could have been if I was running in clear air. But in the end I managed to just stay in front and use the BMW's power on the straight line to get myself a gap always. And luckily he didn't pass me, because if he had, he would have gone off into the distance.
For sure. And Nils, obviously from your point of view, Arthur comes into the pit lane, holds on for dear life against James Parker. I mean, you come out of the pits and you are just absolutely away with it, with 151.7 after 151.8 after 151.7. The pace you had was absolutely incredible. Where did that confidence come from?
I mean, of course we practiced a bit, and we adjusted the pressures on the pit stop. The weather indicated it would change, but it didn't really throughout the whole race. So it always said, like, in 30 minutes we'll have a change for 90 minutes. So yeah, we got confident the weather wouldn't change. We adjusted the pressures a bit to be more on point, and then the car felt maybe a bit better, as it did for Arthur. And then I guess I don't really know what happened in pit stops, but the Mercedes there lost a bit of time. We were sure they would do the undercut and be ahead, essentially. So I was secretly looking at P3 already, so we were just covering that basically. But yeah, for whatever reason, we were still in P1 after the stop, and noticed real quickly that the other car couldn't really do the pace. So from there it was more about keeping my focus up. And the best way to do this is to go as fast as you can.
It's, I mean, a perfect start for season 3 of the Sprint Cup, and obviously Arthur stepping in for your teammate who we had down on paper as Gregor Schill. Is Gregor going to be jumping back in through the rest of the season, or is there changes?
I think we'll do it case by case, pretty much. Gregor has an exam tomorrow in theoretical physics, so I didn't want to bother him with in-game physics. So I guess he'll be there sooner or later, and then we'll try to win again. Even though next time around he'll share some additional 30-something kilos with me, sadly.
Well, we won't hold you guys any longer. Arthur, good luck on the exam tomorrow, and you can come and entertain us all with the theory of relativity next time.
I'm going to go tell that to Gregor.
I want a written dissertation from Gregor in the next 2 weeks. That'll do it. But listen, guys, G2 Esports of Niles Noyox and Arthur Kammerer, thank you very much for joining us tonight, and well done on the race win.
Cheers. Goodbye.
Cheers, man. Bye.
So there we go then, ladies and gentlemen. Alex, that is us done and dusted for our very first night of Sprint Cup action here on Season 3, and my goodness, what a night we had.
You know what was really funny? I've just been having a look through very, very slow motion on the YouTube stream that it was actually James Parker that actually helped Arthur Camera to keep on the track, and it was actually Salvalainen from Griffax that went up the inside of Camera on the first turn. Marek Shins got involved, and there's quite a lot of carnage. I mean, I'm just looking back at it like a quarter of the speed, and I can just see literally cars going left, right, and centre. But what a way to kickstart things here on the Sprint Cup for Season 3. I think Misano, we're going to see another great race, but I think that now that everyone's got all that initial adrenaline out of their system here at Snetterton in 2 weeks' time, things will start to peter out, I say. But I use that from a sort of a metaphorical way, because we don't know what's going to happen going into Variante del Parco at Misano in 2 weeks, mate.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll start wrapping things up then. Firstly, we've got to say a huge thank you, as always, to our commercial partners, to Thrustmaster and to Coach Dave Academy. If you are looking for professionally developed esports ready, game-changing setups, then head over to CoachDaveAcademy.com. Grab yourself a setup, but more importantly, what I would say is actually more important than the setups, check out their sim coaching. I'm always a big believer that setups won't change everything. They won't change how you drive the car, your faults. Everyone has faults and everyone has things they can improve on. Check out their driver coaching. That is really going to be the most bang for your buck from the likes of David Perel, Nick Foster and Jordan Pepper, 3 of the biggest real-life names in GT3 racing. And also a huge thank you, as I said, to Thrustmaster, who provides simply some of the best wheels and sim racing hardware out there on the market. Your boy, as I said last week, has upgraded to the wonderful T300 RS, and I've got an amazing set of TLCM pedals. I bought them myself. I wish I was personally sponsored by Thrustmaster, but
well,
you've got to buy them like the rest of us.
You can't have it all your own way. But of course, March Madness is upon us here at SimGrid. In 2 days' time, we head to Super Saturday, which will have Ginetta's Porsche Cup, GT4 Super Sprints, and then the first round of the Best of British Oulton Park. Then the following week, again, another Super Saturday, which will happen, and that will be very much at Donington Park that time around. Ginetta's Porsche Cup, Ferrari Challenge, and then the second round of Best of British. The 27th of March, we'll have another Super Saturday, Super Trofeos, Ginetta Cup, Porsche Cup, Best of British at Silverstone. I'll be jumping back in the commentary box, I think, on the 27th. Yeah, so I think I've probably got something. It's been a long day. Day. Best of British, the first 3 rounds in the last 3 weekends of March. And of course, we'll be back in 2 weeks' time at Misano for round 2 of the Sprint Cup. I'm looking forward to it.
We both are. It's been David Christie and Alex Goldschmidt taking you through round 1 of the Season 3 of the Sprint Cup, where G2 Esports take the crown and take full points for the first round. We'll see you at the weekend for more racing action here at the SimGrid. As always, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to watch all of the content that we put out here. Have a wonderful start to your weekend, and we will see you on Saturday.